In this unbelievable land, there are no fans so grand as our Mets fans. When we play other teams, no one blood-curdling screams, that's our Mets fans.
But when Mets fans shout,
Go! What they mean, we all know. We've got no place to go.
From the Astrodome Stadium in Houston, Texas, the New York Mets meet the Houston Astros. Rheingold Beer brings you National League Baseball with the New York Mets. Rheingold, New York City's largest selling beer. And what a remarkable thing that is. In New York, a city of so many different people with different tastes, one beer has become the favorite. Rheingold Extra Dry. We don't know why so many people like our beer, but we must be doing something right. Tonight's game is also brought to you by Viceroy. Not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right. Well, hi, everybody. Bob Murphy with Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner from our broadcasting booth in the spectacular Astrodome here in Houston, Texas, as the Mets tonight open a two-game series against the Houston Astros. The Mets have won 4 of 7 games since leaving Shea Stadium, and they won 3 of 4 in the San Francisco series. They tackle a hot ball club tonight of the Houston Astros. The Astros are riding a 5-game win streak. The starting pitchers in tonight's game for the visiting New York Mets. Right-hander Jack Fisher on the mound. Chris Cannizzaro behind the plate. For the Astros, veteran Don Notabart will be the pitcher, with John Bateman behind the plate. Right now, Casey Stengel and Lumen Harris are meeting at home plate with Tom Gorman's umpiring crew to exchange the batting order slips and to be sure that Casey is familiar with the ground rules of this new stadium. We'll be posting the lineups and the batting orders and getting underway with a play-by-play of tonight's game in just a moment. Right now, here's a helpful driving tip from the makers of Super Shell, the good mileage gasoline.
Wish someone would take a little of the strain out of expressway driving? You can with these tips from local Shell dealers.
Don't creep onto the expressway. It's easier to merge when you're traveling at expressway speed than when you're creeping along at 10 or 20. Use the entrance lane to get up speed.
Don't be a lane hopper. Lane hoppers have to watch 4 directions instead of 2. It's a lot easier and safer to pick your lane and stay in it.
Move toward your exit lane early. Nothing's more alarming than the feeling that you're going to overshoot the mark.
Remember those 3 tips on expressway driving from Shell dealers. Don't creep onto the expressway. Don't be a lane hopper. Move toward your exit lane early. If you do a lot of expressway driving, it may be time your car had a checkup. Don't forget your Shell dealer gives a checkup free with every Shell lubrication. Service is our business at Shell stations.
Now here are the lineups and batting orders for the opener of this 2-game series in the Astrodome. For the New York Mets, Bobby Klaus will be at second base, batting leadoff. Johnny Lewis in right field, hitting second. Joe Christopher in left field, batting third. Eddie Cranepool playing first base, batting cleanup. Ron Swoboda will be in center field, batting number 5. Charlie Smith playing third base, hitting sixth. Chris Cannizzaro behind the plate, batting 7th. Roy McMillan at shortstop, batting 8th. On the mound, batting 9th, Jack Fisher. For the Astros, Joe Morgan, the second baseman, will lead off. Al Spangler in left field, batting second. Jim Wynn, the center fielder, bats third. Walter Bond, the first baseman, will be the Houston Astros cleanup hitter. Bob Aspromani will be at third base, batting number 5. In right field, batting 6th, Rusty Staub. John Bateman behind the plate, hitting 7th. Bobby Lillis at shortstop, batting 8th. And on the mound and batting 9th, veteran right-hander Don Notabart. And right now, the Houston Astros are taking the playing field. Don Notabart is on his way to the mound. 3 umpires in the game tonight. Ed Sudol behind the plate. Billy Williams at first base, and Tom Gorman, the crew chief, will be umpiring at third. Lenny Smith has been called home due to the illness of his wife. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, the crowd rising here in the Astrodome for our national anthem. the playing of our national anthem, we're about set for the action. Tonight's broadcast comes to you through the courtesy of Rango Breweries Incorporated, Brown & Williamson Tobacco Corporation, and the Shell Oil Company. In other games in the National League tonight at Cincinnati, Dick Ellsworth for the Cubs against Jim Maloney of the Reds. They've played just one inning, with the Reds leading 1-0. The Braves lead St. Louis 5-0 after 4 innings behind Denny LeMaster. Perky was knocked out. Pittsburgh plays tonight at Los Angeles, Philadelphia at San Francisco. The A's and the Yankees rained out today in New York. Minnesota 11, Cleveland 1 at the end of 6. Washington 4, the Orioles 2 at the end of 5. Red Sox and White Sox no score at the end of 1. The Angels and Tigers no score at the end of 1. Here on the Astrodome, it's play ball. And here's a man who always gives you a good call of a ball game, Lindsey Nelson.
Thank you very much, Bob, and hello, everybody. Don Notabart with the first pitch to Bobby Klaus, double pumps and delivers. And it's high and away for ball one as the game gets underway. The first appearance of the New York Mets here at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Mets right now in 6th place in the National League standings, and the Houston Astros are in 5th place in the standings. Notabart with the pitch to the right-hand batter, and it misses outside for a ball. 2-0 the count to Bobby Klaus, who has a batting average of 159. He's been up 44 times, had 7 hits, 1 double, 1 home run, and 2 runs batted in. Notabart with the 2-0 pitch, and it's in there for a call strike as Klaus shortened up in taking just to bluff the bunt. Waiting on deck is Johnny Lewis. The Astros with an infield of Walter Bond at first base, Joe Morgan at second, Bob Lillis at short, and Bob Aspromonte at third. And the pitch is in there for a called strike 2. 2-2. Notabart looks in to John Bateman to get his sign. And the 2-2 pitch. Swung on and foul back out of play. The count holds at 2-2. The big news with the Mets, of course, is the fact that Yogi Berra has been placed on the active list, effective immediately. And that brings the Met parent roster to its full 28 and the reserve list to a full 40. Infielder Kevin Collins, a first-year player who was operated on for a ruptured muscle in his right shoulder, has been placed now on the disabled list. Outfielder Bob Nash, drafted as a first-year player from the Red Sox organization last fall, was claimed with the Phillies on $8,000 waivers. Here's a swing and a miss, strike 3. So Klaus has struck out. First strikeout for Notabart, and that brings up Johnny Lewis. Lewis is batting .300 for the season. He has 5 doubles and 3 runs batted in. Had his consecutive game hitting streak stopped at 11 straight when he went hitless in the second game of the Sunday doubleheader in San Francisco. Left-hand batter. Notabart with the pitch. Swung on it on the ground to first. A big hop to Walter Bond. He's going to play to Notabart covering, and he does in time. 2 men out for the Mets, batting here in the top half of the first, and that brings up Joe Christopher. He's hitting .245. He has 1 home run and 5 runs batted in. We were talking to Astro coaches Jim Busby and Clint Courtney before the ball game, and they were saying that it takes a good wallop to hit a ball in the seats here for a home run because you get absolutely no help. And that you get no help from the wind because there isn't any wind blowing. And conversely, of course, you get no hindrance because no wind is blowing against you. The conditions remain static, but under those conditions, it takes a pretty good belt. Here's the pitch, and it's high for a ball. It's 340 feet down the left field and right field lines to the corner, and it's 406 feet to straightaway center field for a home run here. The Mets playing indoors for the first time. Here's a pitch in there for a called strike. 1-1 the count now to Christopher with Ed Kranepool, the National League's leading batter, waiting on deck. The Mets starting the game here tonight with a record of 6 wins and 7 losses, a half game shy of 500. Here's the pitch, and it's high for a ball. 2-1 the count now to Joe Christopher. Notabart looks into Bateman to get his sign. 2 men out, nobody on base. Here's a pitch hit on the ground. A comebacker taken by Notabart, and he plays on over to Walter Bond, and the side is out. The Mets going 1-2-3 with no runs, no hits, no errors, and none left. Score at the end of a half inning is the Mets nothing and the Astros coming to bat. Can you imagine a Puerto Rican party without music? Don't try. Just listen to this.
Temporal, temporal, que nos mande el temporal. Temporal, temporal, que nos mande el temporal. Que será de Puerto Rico cuando venga el temporal.
Temporal is a song Puerto Ricans sing over and over at their parties and picnics until they raise a fearful thirst. Then they change their tune. Seis Choriao is the song a Puerto Rican drinks to. He'll sit down, call for a beer, probably Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Puerto Ricans than in all of San Juan, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. And Rheingold is going great in New Jersey, New England, and Pennsylvania, too. Why do Puerto Ricans like Rheingold? We don't know. But we must be doing something right.
In the bottom half of the first inning, the Astros will be sending up Joe Morgan, Al Spangler, and Jim Wynn. On the mound for the Mets, Jack Fisher. On April 15th at Shea Stadium in New York, Fisher took a 4-2 lead over these Astros into the ninth inning and had two men out, and then he walked Bob Astromonte, and Jim Wynn hit a tying homer. Fisher was lifted. The Mets went on to win the game in the 10th on a home run by Bobby Klaus, so that Fisher did not figure in the win. Fisher's only loss of this season was at Los Angeles and Dodger Stadium on this trip, April 22nd. He pitched an 8-hitter and lost it 2-1. Winning run got on base in the ninth inning when a pop fly fell in short right field when Ron Swoboda and Bobby Klaus got crossed up in making the call on it. Morgan is up, batting left, and here's the pitch, high for a ball. Joe Morgan was the most valuable player in the Texas League last year. He is hitting .218 so far. He's had 3 doubles, 1 triple, and 2 runs batted in. Right-hander Jack Fisher with the pitch, and it's in there for a called strike. Charlie Smith, the Mets third baseman, is on the grass. That's third. And waiting on deck is Al Spangler, the left fielder. The Astros have a record of 7 wins and 6 losses so far. They have won 5 straight games. Here's a pitch low and away for a ball. 2-1 the count now to Morgan. Fisher deals, and the pitch is in there for a called strike. Breaking ball, and it's 2-2. Well, it would be difficult, or rather impossible, to describe in detail all the aspects of this Astrodome, the first covered ballpark. It is fantastic. Here's a 2-2 pitch, and it's hit on the ground to right field for a base hit. Johnny Lewis up with it, plays it back in, and Morgan turns and holds it first with a ground single to right, and it's a leadoff base hit for the Astros off Fisher. And that brings up Al Spangler, who is hitting .250. He has 9 hits for the season, 3 runs batted in. He has good speed. He was an original expansion draft selection of the Astros off the roster of the Milwaukee Braves. He was a $125,000 choice. Ed Cranefoo holds against the runner Joe Morgan at first. Missed on the edge of the grass at third for the Mets as Jack Fisher steps off the rubber. Runner goes and has a swing and a fly ball to left. Christopher moves over and back. And Joe hauls it down for the out, plays it back in. Playing hit and run were the Houston Astros on orders from manager Luman Harris. That brings up Jim Wynn. He has hit safely in 9 straight games. He has 17 hits, 1 double, 2 home runs, and 6 runs batted in. He's batting .340. Jim Wynn is off to a big start for the Houston Astros. Each dugout extends for a length of 120 feet here. And that leads to all sorts of remarks. Fisher throws over to first, not in time. It was said that everybody wants to sit behind the dugout, and here at Houston they can do it. Throw over again, and again Morgan is back safely. Casey Stengel said in the big dugout he planned to use a megaphone and a whistle in summoning pinch hitters from down at the other end of the bench. which ends in short left field. Fisher throws over a close play, but he's back safely. Morgan had to dive in head first that time to grab that bag. Jimmy Adair is coaching at first base for the Astros, and Jim Busby is the Houston coach at third. Off the stretch now, Fisher checks. And the pitch to Wynn. He shortens up, but it's in there for a strike. 0-1 is the count. The general arrangement of the decks inside this stadium is very similar to that at Shea Stadium in New York. Here is a pitch in for a called strike. And the lower field box sections are on railway tracks so that they can be moved around into position for football games, just as can the similar sections at Shea Stadium. Morgan takes his lead at first. Cranepool holding at the bag. 2 strike deliveries, a pitch out, and there's nothing on. Canizero fires down. Morgan's back safely at first base. The Mets have an infield of Ed Cranepool at first, Bobby Klaus at second, Roy McMillan at short, and Charlie Smith at third. Joe Christopher's in left field, Ron Swoboda is in center field, and Johnny Lewis is in right. Now Fisher checks. And the pitch, low and away for a ball. It's 2-2. Ron Hutt has joined the New York Mets here, and he participated in the pregame drills tonight. He was left behind when the Mets began this western swing, but a week ago, Dr. Peter Lamont, the club surgeon, gave Hunt the green light to start taking infield practice at Shea Stadium. He's had a bruised and jammed middle finger on his right hand, suffered in a handball game a week before his spring training began. Here's a pitch, and it misses, and it is 3-2 now, a full count, with one man out and a runner at first. When Ron Hunt can actually get into the lineup depends on how long it takes him to catch up in physical conditioning with his teammates. Bobby Klaus has been playing second, and on occasion, Billy Cowan has been playing second. Payoff pitch with the runner going. Swung on and missed. Canizero throws to McMillan, and he's out. A strikeout double play. And it's the first time that Joe Morgan has been thrown out this season. As Wynn struck out, the play went from Canizero to McMillan, and in the bottom half of the first inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, none left. The score at the end of an inning is the Mets nothing and the Astros nothing. The New York Mets will be coming home to Shea Stadium on the night of May 4th, opening up a homestand against the Philadelphia Phillies. During that stand, the Phillies will be in New York, followed by the Milwaukee Braves, followed then by the St. Louis Cardinals, followed by the Cincinnati Reds. 4 teams that very definitely are in the running for the pennant this season. And if you'd like to get tickets for those games or any home games of the Mets at Shea Stadium, here's where you can do it. The advanced ticket window at Shea Stadium is open 7 days a week. It's open weekdays from 8 to 6 and on weekends from 9 to 5. The Met ticket office at Penn Station is located in the Long Island Railroad waiting room. It's open weekdays from 8 to 6 and Saturdays 8:30 to 4. The Met ticket office at the Grand Central Terminal is at the foot of the 42nd Street and Vanderbilt Avenue ramp. It's open weekdays 8 to 6 and Saturdays 8:30 to 4. There's a Met ticket office at Macy's in Huntington in the Walt Whitman Shopping Center in Huntington, Long Island. It's open during regular store hours, and reservations can be made for box and reserve seats at any of the Howard Clothes stores in the greater New York area. Coming up now is Ed Cranepool, who leads the National League in batting with a mark of .457. He is tops in the majors in base hits with 21. He has 12 runs batted in. That's second in the National League. Don Notabart with the first pitch to Cranepool. And it's in there for a called strike. Cranepool has hit safely in all 12 games in which he's played. So that gives him a 12-game consecutive hitting streak. Here is the pitch, and it misses outside for a ball. Last year, Cranepool had a stretch of 13 consecutive games, which was the Met mark, incidentally, for last year. The club mark is 18 straight games. Frank Thomas set it up in 1962. No score in this game, top half of the second inning. The Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Here is a swing and a miss. It's 1-2 to Cranepool with Ron Swoboda waiting on deck. Yogi Berra on the coaching lines for the New York Mets at first base, and Don Hefner is the Met coach at third. So Yogi now is available for active duty as a pinch hitter or in whatever other capacity he may be called upon. Swinging a ground ball to first, taken by Bond on a big hop. He waves Notabart off and makes the play unassisted. So Kranepool has bounced out to Walter Bond at first base. And that brings up Ron Swoboda. This 20-year-old young man has hit 4 home runs so far, 2 of them pinch homers, and is tied for the Major League lead. And Casey Stengel has had a lot of remarks to the writers about the awesome power of this young fellow. He is a right-hand batter, who right now is hitting .389 with 4 homers and 7 runs batted in. Pitch is low for a ball. Coming out of San Francisco yesterday morning, somebody said to Casey in the terminal there, "You're going to be going down now and playing in the Astrodome." And Casey said, "Swoboda will knock the roof off that thing." Notabart with the pitch. A change and it goes high. Swoboda has a colossal slugging percentage of 1.111. Now that's possible because he has 20 total bases in 18 official times at bat. Of his 7 hits, 4 are homers. Another is a double. Formerly of the University of Maryland. Is a swing and a foul ball. Back and into the seats, out of play. The New York Mets fan club of Houston is on hand here tonight. This is a group of fans, 160 of them, who bought tickets, and they have a section down to our left here, down the left field line. Mets fan club says the big banner down there, and they have a few cowbells. And they presented Casey Stengel with an honorary membership in the dugout before the game. The pitch to Swoboda, swung on and missed. 2-2. 1 man out, nobody on base, no score in the game. All members of this Mets fan club in Houston are adults. Some attending tonight are attending their first baseball game ever. And the president of the Mets fan club said the season opens tonight as far as they're concerned. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed the sidearm delivery, and Swoboda becomes the second strikeout victim of Notabart tonight. Notabart has retired 5 consecutive batters. 2 away, and Charlie Smith's coming up. The Mets third baseman's hitting .152 with 4 runs batted in. He's a right-hand batter. Notabart's pitch is outside for ball. Notabart's lifetime record against the Mets is 4 wins and 1 loss. Here's a pitch low for a ball. Last year, Notabart won 6, lost 11 for Houston. This is a 2-0 delivery. Charlie Smith hits it in the air to right. Coming on fast is right fielder Rusty Staub, and can't get it. And it falls in for a base hit. Charlie Smith getting the first hit for the Mets off Don Notabart. Gives him a runner at first with 2 men out, and Chris Canizero coming up. The Met catcher's been up 31 times and had 4 hits. He's hitting .129. The Houston Astros have won 5 straight games. If they should win tonight, it would tie the longest winning streak in the history of the Houston club. They won 6 in a row, once in each of the 3 previous seasons. Notabart checks the runner at first. And here's a pitch to Canizero. It's high for a ball. 1-0 with shortstop Roy McMillan waiting on deck. McMillan's batting number 8 in the batting order tonight. Walter Bond holds against the runner at first, and here's the pitch to Canizero, low for a ball. 2-0. There is a yellow line on the wall in center field. the wall in front of the bleachers, and anything over that yellow line is a home run. Anything below it is in play. Here's a 2-0 pitch, swung on and line down the right field line. Going to be in there and go to the corner for a base hit. Curly Smith rounding second on his way to third, and he is being held up at third, and Canizero pulls up safely with a double. Line that one right down the right field line. So the Mets have runners at second and third, 2 men out, and Roy McMillan is coming up. Canizero strung that one out for his first extra base hit of this season. McMillan has been up 44 times this year and had 4 hits. He is a native Texan from Bonham, Texas. The umpires are now getting straightened out on their position. With only 3 working, the umpires on the bases having a little mix-up here. Tom Gorman now goes back over to third, and Bill Williams moved out in the vicinity of second base. Nottebard with the pitch, and it's in there for a called strike. There are 2 men out as the Mets threaten here in the top half of the second inning. Enjoy this game with a Viceroy. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right. Again, Nottebard looks in to get his sign. He's working straight away. The Mets have runners at second and third. The pitch is low for a ball. It's 1-1. President George Weiss of the New York Mets flew into Houston today, and he is here at the ball game tonight. A 1-1 delivery. Swung on, hit in the air to center field, and Jim Wynn hustles over. Can he get to it? He can't. He dives. 1-run scores, 2-run score. And holding at first is Roy McMillan with a single to center and 2 runs batted in. And the Mets are out in front by a score of 2-0. Jim Wynn gave it the old college try in center field. He dived for the ball but trapped it. And the Mets have picked up 2 runs here in the top half of the second inning. That brings up pitcher Jack Fisher. He's been up 6 times this year without a hit. Don Nottebard up and set. McMillan takes his lead at first, and here's the pitch. Swung on, hit on the ground to short. Taken there by Lillis, and he flips over to Morgan for the fourth, and the side is out. But the New York Mets in the top of the second picked up 2 runs on 3 hits. There were no errors and 1 left, and the score at the end of an inning and a half is the Mets 2 and the Astros nothing. And now let me tell you about a fellow who played ball back in the 80s. His name was Old Hoss Radburn. And in a single season, he played first base, second, third, shortstop, and the outfield. And incidentally, he pitched too. Matter of fact, as a pitcher, Old Hoss won 60 games that year. Now, here's the story of another winner, Viceroy. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right. If you're a filter smoker and you try smoking all 7 leading brands, you'll find some taste too strong, as if they didn't even have a filter. And some other brands taste too light. They never seem to satisfy your taste. But you take Viceroy now. Viceroy's not too strong and not too light. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Right, singers?
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
We're going to the bottom of the second inning. Between innings here, commercials are run on the screen in center field. They are animated commercials. And in the bottom half of the second, the Houston Astros will send up Walter Bond, Bob Aspromonte, and Rusty Staub. Walter Bond has been up 55 times and had 17 hits, 2 doubles, 5 runs batted in. He's hitting .309. Hitting in the cleanup slot in manager Luman Harris' batting order. Pitch is low for a ball. We started down onto the field from the broadcasting booth early tonight, and I want to tell you, it's not too easy if you don't know your way around, and nobody really does yet. Here's a pitch swung on and hit in the air to right field. Johnny Lewis comes on, and he's there, and he makes the catch. So Walter Bond flies out to right, and that will bring up Bob Aspromonte. Astro, Brooklyn-born, is hitting .260. He's had 1 home run and 4 runs batted in. On the way down tonight, at one stopping off place, we encountered General Manager Paul Richards of the Astros, and he said that in moving it back sort of Indian fashion, he makes marks around the stadium so he can come back the same way he went. The pitch to Aspromonte, swung on and hit in the air to center field. Ron Swoboda has called, and he makes the catch. Ron holding up his hand as though he was signaling for fair catch in center field. 2-away, and that'll bring up Rusty Staub. Rusty's hitting .121. He's had 4 hits and 4 runs batted in. He's a left-hand batter. The Mets are leading 2-0 in the bottom half of the second inning. The Astros have had 1 hit so far off Jack Fisher. It was a leadoff single by Joe Morgan, but he was erased on a strikeout double play. It's in there for a called strike to Rusty Staub. He bats number 6 in the batting order. Since the weather inside the Astrodome is not a problem, the seats are cushioned. This has never before been possible in a baseball park because of the fact that the bad weather would ruin the seats, but not here. Not only that, they are acoustically treated so that they absorb any of the sound inside the stadium. Here's the pitch. Swung on, and it's a handle. Ground ball to second, taken by Klaus, and in time to first base for the out. Hit that one right off the handle, and Fisher tried to get to it at the mound, but he went on by to Klaus. The side is retired in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left, and the score at the end of 2 full innings is the Mets 2 and the Astros nothing. Tickets for the 3rd annual Mayor's Trophy game between the Yankees and the Mets are now on sale at all Met ticket outlets. The game is scheduled for Monday night, May 3rd at Yankee Stadium. Proceeds from this game go toward the purchase of equipment for sandlot baseball teams throughout New York City. Both the Yankees and the Mets pay their own expenses in full. This will be the 3rd Mayor's Trophy game in the current series. Year before last, the series was resumed at Yankee Stadium when the Mets defeated the Yankees. Last year, the Yankees came into Shea Stadium and defeated the Mets, so they'll have at it again on Monday night, May 3rd. The Mets and the Yankees, and tickets are now on sale. The Mets open up their homestand against the Phils on May 4th. Right now, we pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
You're tuned to 810 on your dial, WGY Schenectady, the smoothest sound around. Voice of the Mets in the great Northeast.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Bob Murphy and Ralph Kiner at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. And we're moving along to the 3rd inning, and coming in here to tell you all about it, Bob Murphy.
Okay, Lindsey, Bobby Klaus comes up against Don Nottebart of the 3rd. New York in front, 2-0. A smash hit towards shortstop. To his glove side goes Bobby Lillis. He comes up throwing in time for the out. Good play by Bobby Lillis. 1 away and nobody on. That'll bring up Johnny Lewis. Well, certainly everything that we had heard in advance about the beautiful Dome Stadium here in Houston, the Astrodome, is absolutely true. Now Nottie out of his windup. In comes the pitch to Lewis. Outside and high, ball 1. Johnny 0 for 1 was retired on a ground ball to first, his only time up. Now Nottebart takes his sign from John Bateman. The outfield a little bit to right. Change up and a high pop foul. Not too much room in foul territory. Back comes Bateman, no play. Very little room in foul territory. It's a very short distance from home plate to the backstop. The foul area slopes toward the foul lines, and so pitchers will not get too much of a break along those lines. Cincinnati 1, the Chicago Cubs nothing at the end of 2 in Cincinnati. Ellsworth against Maloney. The Braves lead the Cardinals 6-3 at the end of 5. Odell has relieved LeMaster. A foul ball whacked off to the left and out of play. Now it's Milwaukee's 7, St. Louis 3 at the end of 5. Perky, Taylor, and Sadecki for the Cardinals. Home runs by Eddie Matthews, Kurt Flood of St. Louis, and Dennis Menke of the Braves. The other two National League games are later tonight on the West Coast. The Pirates playing the Dodgers, the Phillies at San Francisco. Don Notabart delivers to Johnny Lewis a foul ball back into the backstop, no play. Today in New York, the A's and Yankees were rained out. Tonight, the Minnesota Twins lead Cleveland 11-1 at the end of 8 innings behind Camilo Pascual. And Pascual hit a grand slam in the first inning as the Twins got 7 runs in the first in chasing Sam McDowell. Now the pitch on the way. Hit on the air. A line drive to center. Coming hard is the center fielder, Jimmy Wynn, and he has it. Johnny Lewis hitting a changeup. He hung out a line drive over toward left center, but it stayed up long enough to let Wynn run it down. 2 outs, nobody on. That brings up Joe Christopher. Joe, 0 for 1, was thrown out by the pitcher his first time up. Washington 5, the Orioles 2 at the end of 7.5. Frank Howard got Washington off to a good start in Baltimore with a 3-run homer. Don Notabart delivers to Joe Christopher inside and high, ball 1. The Red Sox lead the White Sox 1-0 at the end of 2.5 on Tony Conigliaro's home run. Monbouquet against Buzard. Angels and Tigers, no score after 3.5. Newman against McLean. Strike on the outside corner to Joe Christopher. 1 ball, 1 strike. Right here in the Astrodome, we're in the 3rd inning. The Mets leading 2-0. Roy McMillan single 2 runs in the 2nd inning. Don Notabart delivers a swing and a miss on a breaking ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Everybody has thoroughly enjoyed taking the tour of the Astrodome and seeing the many restaurants and concession stands and features of the beautiful stadium. The 1-2 delivery, a sidearm delivery, foul tipped into the dirt right by home plate. As Lindsey was pointing out, you could just about get out of breath running from one end of the dugout to the other. Eddie Cranepool waiting on deck. Now Don Notabart working up the ball. The Astros are riding a 5-game win streak. They swept the Pirates a 4-game set. They won last night on young Dave Justy's shutout pitching, his 3rd win of the young season. He actually has won 3 of the 5 games of the Houston win streak. Now the pitch on the way. A line drive caught by Bobby Lillis to shortstop. That ball was hit hard by Joe Christopher, but he landed shoulder high right to Lillis. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. At the end of 2.5 innings, the score, the Mets 2 and the Astros 0. Is this one of those nights when you're not yourself? You'll feel more so when you listen to this.
Oh, I'm not myself at all, Molly dear, I'm not myself at all.
This song gets sung over and over at Irish parties and picnics until the singers raise a ferocious thirst. Then they change their tune.
Come fill up your glasses and drink what you will. I'm a man you love me every day.
This is a traditional Irish drinking song, and often the beer they drink is Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Irish than in the whole of Dublin, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. And Rheingold is going great in New Jersey, New England, and Pennsylvania, too. Why do Irish Americans like Rheingold? We don't know, but we must be doing something right.
I'm a man you don't meet every day, every day. I'm a man you don't meet every day.
Now Johnny Bateman will lead off for Houston, facing Jack Fisher in the last half of the 3rd inning. The Astrodome Stadium here in Houston reminds you a great deal of Shea Stadium in many respects, particularly the field box area and the loge area. Now the pitch on the way. Low and outside, it's ball 1. The field box area, as it is back in New York at Shea Stadium, is portable and can move on tracks to provide for both sports, baseball and football. Now the pitch thrown. Hit in the air by Johnny Bateman to center field. Not too deep. In comes Swoboda, and Ron has it easily for the out. As a matter of fact, as you glance around the Astrodome Stadium from our seat right behind home plate, looking down toward the dugouts, the field box area looks almost identical with Shea Stadium, except the seats here are an upholstered red, whereas they are painted a very eye-pleasing yellow in Shea. The loge level, or the second tier, counting from the ground up, very, very similar, and so is the press level, the third level. And following the Shea Stadium pattern, each level has been painted a different color, whereas Shea Stadium is a 5-tiered multicolored beauty. This is a 6-level or 6-tiered stadium, with each level painted a different color. The highest, the 6th, is painted a bright blue. Ground ball whacked to short by Bobby Willis, grabbed by McMillan. The overhand takes plenty of time, and he has him. Bobby Willis thrown out by Roy McMillan. Ralph?
I think the only people they allow on that 6th tier up there are the actual astronauts who have gone around the world. That's pretty high up there.
You can get a nosebleed standing around up there. I took a tour up there earlier this evening. It's a beautiful sight from up there. Actually, those are, as most people know who have read about the Dome Stadium, the most expensive seats in the stadium. However, as far as actually enjoying and watching the ball game is concerned, you can see the game much better down lower where we are. Outside to Don Notabart.
I understand during our first telecast from Houston that you're going to work the top of the dome up there where they have a television camera.
No, Joe, no, Ralph, you understand wrong. It's Ralph Kiner who's going to ascend the 208-foot platform. Foul ball back.
Thing that I'm worried about, how do you get up there? You got to do the rope trick, I guess.
No, we've got that figured out. There's a, well, what do you call it? Catwalk. You go up to the top level. You're up about, I'd say 170 feet, and then you take that catwalk the rest of the way up. And you've got to have the agility of a cat to keep from falling off. But we knew you wouldn't mind, Ralph. Pitch thrown to Don Notabart, hit foul deep down the right field line and out of play.
You don't think I'm going to mind. You wait till you try to put me up there.
Well, I'm not going to try. I'm going to turn that over to our Mr. Gallagher and Mr. Nixon. I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't mind going up there so much, but I sure hate to have to look down after I got up there. Now Jack Fisher glancing around. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count on Don Notabart. 2 outs, nobody on, last half of the 3rd inning. Fisher out of his windup. Here's his pitch. Inside the high. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, they'll have a lot going on in the stadium throughout the course of the year with the Astros playing all their home games here. 2-2 delivery. Ground ball hit the shortstop. McMillan slides to his right. He's up with it. Perfect peg across the diamond to Eddie Cranepool, and Notabart is out, retiring the Astros. A 1-2-3 inning for Jack Fisher. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. At the end of 3, the New York Mets 2 and the Houston Astros nothing. If somebody offers you Hasapico, don't eat it, dance it like this.
The Hasapico is spirited and lively. It makes Greek Americans feel like dancing, and dance they do, until they work up a fearful thirst. Then they call for different music. Nina Nai Nai is music a Greek drinks to. He'll sit down, call for a beer, probably Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Greeks than in all of Sparta, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. And Rheingold is going great in New Jersey, New England, and Pennsylvania, too. Why do Greek Americans like Rheingold? We don't know, but we must be doing something right.
They were mentioning the fact that there is a possibility of a camera location at the very peak of the dome, 208 feet above the ground. Actually, the gondola, or the center section of the very top of the dome, is mechanically devised so that it can lower all the way to the ground floor. So Ralph will have a way of getting you on there without any trouble. Notabart into his windup, delivers to Eddie Cranepool, fastball inside. Well, this ballpark has eliminated a couple of very important things for ball players. One is what's going to happen to the ball player that goes out to the field, picks up some grass, throws it in the air to find out which way the wind's blowing. He's absent-minded, that's what he is. Now here's the windup. And the pitch thrown is a fastball over. Well, they wiped out one of the oldest stars in baseball right there, didn't they, Ralph? They sure did. Isn't that what the managers always say? The first thing you do when you go to the ballpark is check the wind. Check the wind. Well, you can check this one from your hotel. You know what it's going to be. 2-1 delivery now by Don Notabart. And it's over at the letters for a call strike, 2-2. It's all over in Cleveland. A 2-hitter for Camilo Pascual as Minnesota beat the Indians tonight 11-1 in Cleveland, and Pascual hit a grand slam in the first inning. So Mr. Pascual had quite a night for himself in Cleveland. Sam McDowell was the losing pitcher. Eddie Cranepool waiting, the 2-2 delivery by Notabart. Foul tipped, he barely got a piece of it, and that one hit umpire Ed Sudol. Well, you could hear Ed yell all the way up here. That one hurt. Lindsey was pointing out that the gondola, or the center section of the fabulous dome, which can be lowered all the way to the ground floor, the trip requires something like 8 minutes. In Shea Stadium, when they push the button for the field box seat to move around, I think Johnny McCarthy was saying that the entire trip can be made in something like 12 minutes, which is an amazing thing. Johnny Bateman setting up the target. Notabart delivers a swing and a miss. He changed up on him, took just a little bit off. And Eddie, a tough man to stand, goes down swinging. Don Notabart has his third strikeout of the game. 1 out and nobody on. That'll bring up Ron Swoboda. The home run that Swoboda hit at Candlestick Park was one of the most amazing home runs that has been hit in a long time. Jack Fisher, who spent a year with the Giants, said that in the whole year he was there, he didn't see anything quite like that one. And some of the veteran Giants were saying the same thing. Because usually a ball hit that high in the air, the way the wind was blowing from left to right, will always be blown back in. He hit it a mile high, but hit it hard enough so that it traveled out over the fence from deep left center. Next pitch on the way, a strike on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. The one he hit off Houston in Shea Stadium was measured by Scrap Iron Courtney, the bullpen coach for the Astros, at 565 feet. If that's true, that's about as far as anybody ever hit one. Now the pitch thrown. There's a drive hit hard to left field. In front of it is Spangler, and he makes the catch. Hard line drive right at Al Spangler, the left fielder. He hits the ball hard when he gets the bat on it. I remember in the old Griffith Stadium in Washington, D.C., that Mickey Mantle hit a ball batting right-handed off Chuck Stobbs. About a third of the way up on the scoreboard that they measured out, they thought would be about 565 feet. No doubt about it, Ron Swoboda has already hit 2 real tape measure jobs. Now Charlie Smith up against Notabart, a foul ball back into the screen, strike 1. The 20-year-old sluggers, Cranepool and Swoboda, that were the batting stars for the Mets. Warren Spahn, the pitching star, as the Mets won the nightcap on Sunday to gain a split in the doubleheader and win the series 3-1. Very successful trip to California for the Mets. A let-up, a swing and a miss. Notabart throwing the slip pitch. He now has a 2-strike count on Charlie Smith. Well, the pitchers have been delighted with the Dome Stadium. Before baseball got underway here, there was some doubt as to what effect, if any, it would have on breaking balls. The pitchers say that it doesn't bother them a bit. Foul ball, back over the screen, into the crowd, no play. Down in the spring training, Paul Richards was insisting that the curveball would curve and the knuckleball would muck, and they certainly have. Two-strike count on Charlie Smith. New York in front, 2-0. We're in the 4th. Don Notabart delivers, sidearm, foul ball, wafted back toward our broadcasting level, and out of play. Give an idea of the height from the playing level, from the field level to the top of the dome. You can place an 18-story hotel on second base and still have about a 10-foot clearance on the top. But as Lindsey said, that sure would foul up the double play. Now the pitch on the way. Hit late by Charlie, a foul ball going over into the crowd and out of play. Glance around here at the Astrodome, you can certainly see where so much of the engineering and design of Shea Stadium has been incorporated into this beautiful stadium. The American flag is in straightaway center field, hanging from the dome. Changeup, a swing and a miss. Malibar with a great changeup. He fanned Cranepool with one and now gets Charlie Smith on it. So Malibar has his fourth strikeout. The Mets are out in order in the fourth inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. At the end of 3.5. The New York Mets 2 and the Houston Astros nothing. And tonight's story takes us back to 1920. The Dodgers against Boston. The umpire yelled, "Play ball," and that they did. They played and played and played. After 9 innings, the score was tied. And after 26 innings, it was still a tie ball game. And that's the way it stood because, well, it was too dark to continue. That's one record that's going to be hard to beat. And in the Filler Cigarette League, you can't beat Viceroy. Because Viceroy is specifically designed to taste the way you'd like a filler cigarette to taste. Not too strong, like some brands that taste as if they didn't have a filter. And not too light, like others. You know the kind. They just don't seem to satisfy your taste. But Viceroy's not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right.
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
Bottom half of the fourth inning, top of the Houston batting order comes up against Jack Fisher. For the Astros, Jimmy Adair is on the coaching lines at first. Jim Busby on the coaching lines at third. Joe Morgan singled to right field off Jack Fisher in the first, but then was caught stealing on a beautiful throw by Chris Cannizzaro. The pitch thrown, a fastball over, strike one call. Incorporating as many ideas as possible here at the Astrodome. They have incorporated many of the ideas and promotional flair of Bill Veeck as far as the scoreboard's concerned. And it's a strike on the outside corner. Bill Veeck first glorified the scoreboard at Comiskey Park, and here at the Astrodome, when a Houston player hits a home run, that scoreboard really puts on quite a show. The visiting team hits a home run, it merely replies, tilt. Off the outside corner.
Bill Veeck picked this ball club, the Astros, to finish up for sixth place or so, and he figured that anybody that could control the air conditioning system and win should be able to finish pretty close to first division.
The breeze goes out and the breeze comes in. Pitch thrown. Ground ball back to the mound. Fisher has it. Lobs over to first base to Cranepool, and Morgan is out. Well, you have to say that it's mighty comfortable. Last Sunday, there were more rained-out games, particularly in the American League, than any one Sunday I can recall in a long, long time. And as the rainouts were posted on the sports ticker here in the press level, the message board out in center field reminded the fans that this would never happen here. They're dying to have it rain. Here's the pitch on the way. Low and outside, ball one. President of the Houston Sports Association, Judge Roy Hoffman, just can't wait for it to rain so that he can really make the headlines by the fact that there's a Major League Baseball going on while it's pouring down rain outside. If they happen to have a drought this summer, the judge is not going to be very happy. Al Spangler, the batter, 2 balls and no strikes. Spangler flied to left, his only time up. New York in front, 2-0. Roy McMillan singled 2 runs across the plate with 2 men down. Now Fisher over the head. Down comes his pitch, and it's over for a called strike as Spangler bluffed it a bunt. Now Spangler is fussing with umpire Ed Sudol. night game here in the Astrodome is an enjoyable evening. And a night game at Shea Stadium is a marvelous evening. The Mets will have their first night game of the season when they return home from this trip. They'll be playing the Phillies Tuesday night in Shea Stadium on the 4th of May, the night after the Mayor's Trophy game. It's thrown to Spangler, too high. It's ball 3, 3-1. The Mets return from this trip, and it certainly has been their best trip ever so far. They'll start a homestand that will see them entertain 4 consecutive pennant contenders. Now Fisher has fallen behind 3-1 on Al Spangler. 1 out, nobody on. Here's the pitch on the way. Hit high in the air to center field. Drifting back goes Ron Swoboda. Trailing back, he's under it and makes the catch. Ball is fairly deep. The ballpark, the field is symmetrical. Down the lines is 340 feet to the barrier. 390 in left center and right center, and 406 feet in straightaway center field. They really had a rhubarb here in the Pittsburgh the other day on the call of a home run. Frank Howard's 3-run homer paced Washington tonight as they beat Baltimore 5-2 in Baltimore. Jim Wynn, the center fielder, is up, and the pitch inside, ball 1.
Well, Jim's uniform is almost a solid green from that dive he tried to make on a catch out in center field. The grass here in this ballpark is a very bright green, and you might suspect it might have some paint on it.
It may have a lot more before the year's over. Ball 2 and the count 2-0.
It's very thin, very sparsely seeded, and of course they're going to have more and more difficulty since they have painted the glass that allows the sunlight to come into the ballpark.
The grass reminds you a lot of corn silk, Ralph, the way it feels, the texture.
It certainly is a thin, soft grass.
Now the 2-0 delivery. Breaking ball, a strike on the outside corner. 2-1 on Jimmy Wynn. Well, that, of course, will be the big problem, particularly now that they have had to paint the dome in off-white to defeat the glare, and they succeeded in doing that. But in doing so, they cut down the natural daylight, and it's going to make it increasingly difficult to keep the natural grass. Oh, down the third base line. It's going to roll foul. No play. Wynn trying to bunt his way on, but he goes foul. Probably in the future, without a doubt, not only here, but perhaps many places in sports, they will be going to a synthetic grass. I don't know how far in the future it is, but it may not be too far away. Washington-Baltimore game tonight. Rizek, the winner, in relief of McCormick. The loser was Dave McNally. The Senators beating the Orioles 5-2, with Frank Howard hitting a 3-run homer in the first. Now the windup by Jack Fisher. The 2-2 delivery. Low and inside, and the string is out, 3-2. The White Sox have come from behind. They now lead the Red Sox 4-1 at the end of 4 behind Johnny Bazard. And the Angels, on a 2-run homer by rookie Paul Shaw, lead Detroit 2-1 at the end of 5.5. Fred Newman pitching against Denny McClain. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Jack Fisher with a real good breaking ball fans Jim Wynn for the second time. He struck out into a double play in the first inning. Side out, 1-2-3 in the fourth. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. And at the end of 4, the score here in the Astrodome, the New York Mets 2 and the Houston Astros, nothing.
Say, the brand new 1965 Mets yearbook is fresh off the presses and ready for you. It has all the up-to-date facts and figures on our amazing Mets, plus 258 action photographs. The lifetime records of all the Mets, including the first-year men, are there in complete detail. And as a special extra, there's a full squad picture on the back cover suitable for framing. There's a special section on new Mets Yogi Berra and Warren Spahn with plenty of pictures. To get the new 1965 Mets yearbook, send in 50 cents to Mets Yearbook, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. That's Mets Yearbook, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. Now the Mets playing their first game indoors against the Houston Astros. We're moving along in the ball game to the top of the 5th, and once again, here's Bob Murphy.
Now we're going to the 5th inning. Chris Cannizzaro comes up against Don Notabart. Chris was in the middle of things when the Mets got the only 2 runs of the game in the second inning. Charlie Smith ignited the spark. He singled with 2 men out. Cannizzaro hit a line double down the right field line, putting runners on second and third. And Roy McMillan singled to short center, driving home Smith and Cannizzaro. Breaking ball, a strike on the outside corner. President George Weiss of the New York Mets is here watching the ball game with traveling Secretary Lou Ness and Public Relations Director Herb Hepp. They are seated down by the front of the dugout, or the home plate end of the dugout. Big swing by Canizero. Fails to connect, and the count strike two. When George arrived in town today, he consulted with skipper Casey Stengel, and Yogi Berra was placed on the active list. Kevin Collins, who was operated on, underwent surgery just as the Mets left on this trip, has now been placed on the disabled list. So Casey can now call on Yogi to go up and hit for him in the 8th or 9th innings if he's in that spot where he needs a left-hand pinch hitter. Don Nottebart winds and pitches. Way outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. St. Louis pitching running into trouble again tonight. The Braves now lead the Cardinals 9-4 at the end of 6 innings. They have now used Perky, Taylor, Sadecki, and Nelson Browse. Foul ball, back toward the press level, no play. Darren Johnson has hit a 2-run homer in the last of the 3rd inning. Cincinnati now leading Chicago at least 3-0. Ernie Broglio has relieved starter Dick Ellsworth. So Broglio, normally a starter, is being used in relief by Bob Kennedy. Outside and high. First 2 weeks of the season, with the number of open dates that you have, it's hard to give all the pitchers the work they need. And you frequently see managers using starting pitchers in relief roles. But when the schedule settles down to 6 and 7 and 8 games a week, they'll stop. Fastball over, and Canizero is called out on strike. Well, Nottebart, picking up steam as he goes along, has now struck out 5, and he's fanned 3 of the last 4 batters. Roy McMillan stepping in. Roy had a chance to spend an evening at his home in Bonham, Texas last night, and a chance to visit with his little baby girl. And he drove over from Bonham, Texas today. Nottebart's pitch to Mac, a fastball, a strike on the inside corner. I'll tell you one thing, Ralph. When a manager is sitting on the far end of a dugout and he's looking for a pinch hitter and he looks down on the bench, he better have good eyes. Outside to McMillan. You suppose he'll start using field glasses in the dugout?
He might have to use a megaphone.
1 ball, 1 strike on Roy McMillan. 1-1 delivery. Slider that's over. A call strike, 1-2. Following the 2 games in the Astrodome tonight and tomorrow night, Casey and the Mets go to Cincinnati, and they wind up this road trip with a 4-game weekend series. High drive to deep left by McMillan. Racing back is Spangler. He's getting under it. Makes the catch back on the warning track. McMillan leaned into that one, and Spangler runs it down back on the track about 380 feet away. Right here, we'll pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
810 on your dial, WGY and WGFM Schenectady, the voice of the Mets in the great Northeast.
Broadcast of the Mets ball games, and we hope you'll enjoy Rheingold beer along with the game. Jack Fisher is stepping in against Don Nottebart. The Mets have 2 runs on 3 hits. They put their 3 hits together to score their 2 runs in the 2nd inning. Those are the only 3 men who have been on base against Nottebart. First pitch taken, strike 1. Since McMillan singled the 2 runs in, Nottebart has now retired 8 straight hitters. Breaking ball outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Both of these ball clubs, the Mets and the Astros, have been getting real good pitching. Fisher tried to hold up, but he went through on the swing. 1 ball and 2 strikes now on Jack. Fisher starting his 3rd ball game, and in all 3 games he has pitched very well. He had the Astros beat in New York, but walked Aspermonte with 2 outs in the 9th. Hit deep, but foul down the right field line, no play. He walked Aspermonte on 4 pitches. He was actually trying to reach back and get too much. He was trying to finish the game with a flourish. walked him, and then Jim Wynn hit a home run to tie the game. Fisher was taken out of the game, and the Mets won it in the 10th inning on a home run by Bobby Klaus. And Jim Bethke, the 18-year-old rookie from Kansas City, was the winning pitcher. Next time out, Jack got beat with 2 down in the 9th inning in Los Angeles. A swing and a miss, he struck him out. And that's 6 strikeouts now for Don Nonabart. He also has struck out 4 of the last 6 hitters. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. So we've come halfway. At the end of 4.5 innings to score, the New York Mets 2 and the Houston Astros, nothing. Yedsey boat isn't something you row or sail. You sing it like this.
Jedzie Bot is a song that gets sung over and over at Polish parties and picnics until the singers raise a fearful thirst. Then they change their tune. Piwo piwo is the traditional Polish call for beer, and often it's Rheingold Extra Dry they call for. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Poles than in all of Świdnica, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. And Rheingold is going great in New Jersey, New England, and Pennsylvania, too. Why do Polish Americans like Rheingold? We don't know. But we must be doing something right.
Last half of the 5th inning, Big Walt Bond will be up against Jack Fisher with New York in front, 2-0. The Astros riding a 5-game win streak. They're only a game out of first place. And the Mets having a great trip right behind the Astros, trying to pick up a full game on them tonight. Lined foul deep down the right field line and back into the seats. He really ripped that one. Fisher started Bond off with an off-speed pitch that was inside. And Big Walter Bond, who's 6'6", really ripped it. In the Sunday game against Pittsburgh here in the Astrodome, Bond was in the middle of one whale of a rhubarb. Now the pitch on the way. A foul pop-up. It'll be over the upright screen and into the crowd. In the Sunday game against Pittsburgh, Bond hit a drive to right field that at first was called a home run by Vinnie Smith inadvertently. He realized the ball had struck just below the yellow line on the auxiliary scoreboard in right and reversed his decision. However, the third base umpire, not realizing the decision had been reversed, was giving the home run signal, and Bond came easing into third. Busby, realizing the call had been changed, was giving him a slide sign. To make it, the answer to the whole thing was he slid in, he was called out, and they argued forever. 2-strike delivery. Grounder hits down the first baseline foul. So when you're circling the bases thinking you have hit a home run and thinking you have seen a home run call, and suddenly you find yourself sliding and being called out at third, there has to be an argument.
There are going to be many arguments here in this ballpark because the way they have this home run designated here in this park, it's going to be very, very difficult to determine whether the ball is above the yellow line or below it. Now the Houston crowd stirring around. Mets in front 2-0, last of the 5th inning. Fisher is sighting in on his target. Delivers to the plate. Strike 3 called a beauty. Bond didn't like it, but it broke right over the inside corner of the plate, and now Ed Sudol gets the mask off. And the crowd begins to get on Sudol a little bit, and Bond drops his bat in disgust and walks back toward the dugout. Fisher's third strikeout. One away and nobody on. That brings up Bob Aspromonte. Bob is the holder of all sorts of Houston club records. Ron Swoboda is playing Aspromonte to hit the ball to the opposite field. He bluffs in a bunt. It's strike 1 called on the outside corner. Rusty Staub, the right fielder, is on deck. The Astros started their winning streak with their final road game in Philadelphia when they exploded late in the game and buried the Phillies 11-4. Since then, they have come home to win 4 straight. Breaking ball outside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The Mets got 2 runs on 3 hits. They manufactured the 2 runs after 2 were down in the second. That's the only scoring in the ball game, and those were the only 3 men on base for New York. Charlie Smith singled, Chris Cannizzaro doubled down the right field line, and Roy McMillan singled both men home. Now Fisher with a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Bob Aspromonte. Here's the pitch on the way. He tries to bunt, and he did not offer at it, and now Cannizzaro is hopping mad. Here comes Casey, but he can't come all the way out because if he does, he would be automatically ejected as he was in the game at Los Angeles. Well, Bob Aspromonte really got the bat back in the nick of time. It couldn't be any closer. And Ed Sudol said he did not offer at it. The Mets were convinced that he did, and the argument was going. 2 balls and a strike. Rusty Staub waiting on deck, working with the pine tar cloth to tighten up that grip. Infield straight away against Aspromonte. The 2-1 delivery, low and outside is ball 3, and it goes to 3-1. New York 2 runs, 3 hits, and no errors. Houston, no runs, 1 hit, and no errors. Now Fisher checks with Cannizzaro. It's 3-1 on Bob Aspromonte. Down comes the right arm. Swing and a miss on a curveball, and that was a beauty. Fisher really broke it off. But now the string is out, 3-2. The Mets will be in Cincinnati Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and a doubleheader Sunday. And after the Sunday doubleheader, they fly back to New York. The payoff delivery to Aspromonte, low and outside, ball 4. He goes to first on the walk. That's the first base runner for the Houston Astros, since Joe Morgan led off the first inning with a single. Jack Fisher had retired 12 consecutive hitters. Now the charge cry as the Houston fans stir around. The batter stepping in is Rusty Staub. Well, they have a goal cry that they post on the message board. Down comes the pitch to Staub, low and inside. Cannizzaro bluffing a throw to first. When the Astros were in New York playing a 2-game series, which the Mets and the Astros split, Johnny Lewis from right field cut down Rusty Staub and Big Walt Bond in the 2-game series. The Astros also had a couple of men picked off. Fisher delivers to Staub. A strike on the outside. A peg to first, not in time. Houston getting down toward the tail end of their batting order, and so now skipper Luman Harris is going to get Hal Woodashik warmed up in the bullpen, along with Claude Raymond in the event he wants to send up a hitter. 1-1 delivery. A foul pop-up might be playable. Cannizzaro coming back, right at the railing and no play. Just beyond his reach, landing at about the second row of box seats, and landing very close to President George Weiss of the Mets.
I would think, Bob, that pop fouls for catchers in this ballpark will be awfully tough because the catcher, of course, has to look up and pick the ball up. And it still is difficult to find the ball against the top of the dome here. And Chris on that ball had some trouble finding it, so I think they're going to run into some difficulty on foul pop-up.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Rusty Staub. Mets have the infield hoping for a shot at 2. The outfield is deep and around toward right. Fisher up in pitching position. Now delivers. Low and inside. A peg to first. Safe, and it was close. Took a good slide by Aspromonte to get back. The 2 games in New York. Warren Spahn in 1 ball game picked off Jim Wynn at first base, and then Jack Fisher picked the same Jimmy Wynn off in the other one. Mets have been doing a much better job of holding the runners and working their pickoff plays. Now the pitch. A swing and a miss. He got him on a slip pitch. Good changeup by Jack Fisher, and Staub goes down swinging. And Jack now has his 4th strikeout. Beautiful changeup by Jack Fisher. 2 outs. The batter coming up will be the dangerous John Bateman. Bateman, hitting .314, shares the National League home run lead. He's hit 4 home runs and knocked 8 runs in. He's strong. Johnny Bateman, Ron Santo of the Cubs, Willie Mays of the Giants, and Ron Swoboda of the Mets have all hit 4 home runs. Eddie Matthews has hit his 4th tonight. Breaking ball, a strike call, knee high on the outside corner as Fisher pitches away from him. The Braves lead St. Louis 9-4 at the end of 6.5 innings of Milwaukee. And Cincinnati leads the Chicago Cubs 4-1 at the end of 3.5 in Cincinnati. Now Fisher ready, delivers to Bateman. A high fly ball to right field. It's deep, but back goes Johnny Lewis. On the edge of the warning track, he makes the catch. Brad retired in the last half of the 5th inning, and now the ground crew in vivid spacesuit coming out to manicure the infield. In the last of the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. Here are the 5-inning totals. For New York, 2 runs, 3 hits, and no errors. For the Astros, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. So you've heard the rousing Meet the Mets song many times, I'm sure. You hear it at Shea Stadium. You've heard it on radio and on television. And at all the Mets rallies and parades and get-togethers. Well, now it's available on record so that you can have it right in your own home. Only $1 gets you a professionally recorded, high-fidelity copy of the Meet the Mets song with complete lyrics. Just send your $1 to Mets song, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. To repeat, that's Mets song, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. Well, we have the vivid demonstration of the space era right now and why Houston is known as the Space Center. The astronauts, of course, are headquartered just outside of Houston. And space has been the theme of the new Astrodome, and the ground crew is attired in space outfits, including the big spacecraft helmets. And so they get a hand as they come hustling off the field after they manicure the infield for the second half of the ball game. Well, right now we're going to the 6th inning, and we've got a fellow here in our broadcast booth who's hit a few baseballs into far-off space, Mr. Ralph Kiner.
Thank you, Bob, and hi there, everyone. The grounds crew called the Earthmen here. Everything else high in the sky, but the grounds crew right on the ground. It's the Mets leading 2-0. The first pitch to Bobby Klaus as we start here in the top of the 6th is a called strike. Breaking pitch over by Don Notabart, strike 1.
Ralph, I have to apologize. The ground crew is not known as the ground crew. They're known as the Earthmen.
Pitch back to Bobby Klaus, and in there a called strike 2. Don Notabart, working in the ball game, has gone through a total of 5 innings so far. He has struck out 6 batters, given up 3 hits. The 3 hits coming in the 2nd inning when the Mets scored their 2 runs. Then he goes sidearm. The pitch is bounced down on the ground, foul. So the count stays at 0-2 on Bobby Klaus. Bobby has struck out. He went down swinging in the 1st. He has also grounded out, grounding out to the shortstop in the 3rd. Bobby with an average of 152. Right-hand batter will be followed by Johnny Lewis and Joe Christopher. And Notabart back again. A curveball inside and high. It's ball 1.
Ralph, you were mentioning earlier that they've taken away something from the ball player that he could no longer check the win. They've taken a description away from baseball announcers, too. We can no longer now, at the end of 5 innings, say it's now an official game, can we?
That's right. No more rainout. Next pitch back is outside. It's ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I imagine as you go along through the season, you'll find all kinds of different things involved with baseball here in Houston.
Can you imagine a baseball ticket with no rain check on it?
Not a rain check in sight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Don Notabart back again. And a swing and a miss, strike 3. So Notabart with a fastball picks up his 7th strikeout. And with 1 away here in the top of the 6th, the batter will be Johnny Lewis. John is over 2. He hit the first pitch down the first base his first time up, and then lined out on a change of pace to center field. Left-hand batter. He has hit an 11 of his last 12, and he takes high, ball 1. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, National Hockey League, Montreal Canadiens 6, the Chicago Blackhawks, nothing. Canadiens 6, the Blackhawks, nothing. Montreal leads best of 7, 3-2 now. Change of pace to Johnny Lewis outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Lewis, the left-hand batter, hitting at .286. And Notabart back again, and he misses inside. This time it's ball 3. On deck batter Joe Christopher. The Mets leading by a score of 2-0. They scored 2 runs in the second. And the right-hander back at 3-0. A called strike. Fastball through. Count now 3 balls and 1 strike. After 2 men were away, Charlie Smith looped a single to right field for the Mets' first hit here in the Astrodome. And a double scored a run. Pitches inside. It's ball 4, and Johnny Lewis goes to first. Lewis aboard at first base with 1 away in the top of the 6th. It brings up Joe Christopher. That's the first base runner for the Mets since they scored the run in the second. Notabart had retired 10 men in a row. Joe Christopher, 0 for 2 tonight. Joe batting .235, a right-handed batter. A throw to first base with not too much effort. Now Lewis again with a good lead at first. Notabart looking there. Comes to the plate. The runner does not go. The pitch is taken. And it's ball 1. Lewis made a good bluff, and the catcher, John Bateman, came out ready to throw, but Lewis, who had moved on down about a third of the way to second base, came on back to first. Christopher has bounced back to the mound, and he has lined out to the shortstop. Hit a change of pace his last time up to the shortstop. Lewis with a good lead. And Notabart to the plate. The runner goes. The swing and a miss. The throw to second base is in time. He is out. So on the missed hit and run play by Joe Christopher, the Astros pick up the base runner for the second out here in the top of the 6th. And the count now on Joe is 1 ball and 1 strike. Covering on the play, the second baseman, Joe Morgan. One ball, 1 strike. Notabart now with a full windup as he gets set for Joe Christopher. And the pitch, it is a curveball inside corner for a called strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mets leading 2-0. 2 away in the top of the 6th. Now the right-hander back again. Sidearm, a fastball, bounce foul. Ball off to the left side, picked up by Bob Aspromonte. Count holding at 1 ball and 2 strikes. First game the Mets are playing inside. Now the 1-2 delivery again. And the pitch just inside. It's ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. For the ball game, had a chance to talk with some of the Mets players, and they are certainly impressed by the layout here, but they did say that there was some difficulty in following the ball in the air, and also that the ball did not carry too well. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Line drive foul. Ball way off to the left side, just about in the section where the Mets fan club is located. A couple hundred strong over there in the second deck. Count holds at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pitchers are very happy about the ballpark. Ken Johnson, who is a knuckleball pitcher for the Astros, said his knuckleball breaks better here than at the other place. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Sidearm fastball. It's outside for a full count at 3-2. The old ballpark, located about a quarter of a mile away. It's actually in the outer stretches of the parking lot area here. Sure going to miss that place, Bob.
Yeah, gee, I bet those mosquitoes will miss us, too.
Boy, they've got to starve to death over there this year. 3-2 pitch to Christopher. Hit down the line. It is a foul ball. Ball just foul down the right field line, hitting about an inch or 2 to the right side of the foul line, right by the first baseman, Walt Vaughn. So Christopher misses a base hit. Probably only a single because Rusty Staub was over there playing him near the right field line by a matter of inches. Count holds at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Stands is still in the ballpark over there, and also the lights are still up. The old ballpark. Now the 3-2 delivery again. It's hit foul. This one out of play in a hurry, and the count holds at 3 balls, 2 strikes. Lights here in this ballpark under the dome, about like the lights in Shea Stadium. They are around the outer edge of the upper part of the stadium, although they do not use the mercury vapor light that the Mets are using in Shea Stadium. But they also don't have the problem of cutting through a lot of glare, too. Now again a 3-2. A swing and a miss. He struck him out with a breaking pitch. That is strikeout number 8 for Don Nottebart. It retires the side. In the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, a walk, erased on the missed hit and run play when the catcher threw out the base runner Johnny Lewis, and no one left on base. And the score at the end, 5.5 innings. The Mets 2, the Astros nothing. Are you one of those people who go to a German-American picnic and can't sing because you don't know the words? Then listen.
Wir kommen alle in den Himmel is a song that gets sung over and over at German parties and picnics until the singers raise a fearful thirst. Then they change that tune. Beer here is the traditional German call for beer, and often it's Rheingold Extra Dry they call for. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Germans than in all of Heidelberg, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. And Rheingold is going great in New Jersey, New England, and Pennsylvania, too. Why do German Americans like Rheingold? We don't know. But we must be doing something right.
Bottom half of the 6th. The Mets leading 2-0 with Bob Willis, the first man up for the Astros. It'll be Bob Willis, the pitcher Don Nottebart, and on the top of the batting order, Joe Morgan against Jack Fisher. Willis grounded out to short, his only time up in the ball game. He's batting .220, a right-hand batter. Bob playing at shortstop, and the first pitch by Jack Fisher is a curveball too low for ball 1. Eddie Casco, the regular shortstop for the Astros, still out. He has a broken foot. He injured his foot in spring training. 1 ball, no strikes, and the pitch back by Fisher is hit hard on the ground by the third baseman in the left field. Base hit. Those rounds at first base, holds there, and the Astros have a runner at first base with no one out here in the bottom half of the 6th. That is their second hit in the ball game. First man up in the game, Joe Morgan, singled to right field, and the only man to reach after that until the base hit by Bobby Lillis was the third baseman Ken Astormont. Brings up the pitcher, Don Nottebart. Mets looking for the bunt. Mets leading 2-0. And the first pitch is taken. It's ball 1. Nottebart taking as he squared around for ball 1. In the previous inning, in the 5th inning, with the chance of the pitcher coming up, Luman Harris, the manager of the Astros, had 2 pitchers warming up. But right here, no action in the bullpen. Now a little check swing, an attempt at hitting the ball by the first baseman. Hit down to Cranepool, down to second base in time. On to first base, a double play. So Don Nottebart, faking the bunt, trying to hit the ball, punched it on out to Eddie Cranepool at first base. He threw to Roy McMillan at second for the first of the double play. And then McMillan on to the second baseman, Bobby Klaus, covering at first base. And the Mets pull off their second double play of the ball game. So the base runner now off the lines, and Jack Fisher, with 2 men away, will be pitching to Joe Morgan. Joe with 1 hit and 2 times up. Left-hand batter. He attempts to bunt. It's fouled down on the foot of Chris Canizero. Strike 1. Chris hobbling out as he gets up. Gus Moss, the trainer of the New York Mets, coming up to the top of the dugout steps to be ready to come out, but Chris evidently all right. Now Chris coming back from home plate. He's okay. Mets leading by a score of 2-0. 2 men away, bottom half of the 6th. Morgan batting at 228. Left-hand batter with great speed. Been at bat already 57 times. Now Fisher back to work, and the next pitch is a changeup outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fisher has picked up 4 strikeouts in the ball game. He has walked 1, given up 2 base hits, and a 1-1 delivery. It is outside for ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike. Mets leading by a score of 2-0. They picked up 2 runs in the second when they had their only 3 hits in the ball game. Fine pitcher's duel here between Jack Fisher and Don Nottebart. 2-1 delivery is bunted out toward the pitcher's mound. It's going to be a base hit. Ball bunted by Joe Morgan out toward the pitcher's mound, not too far out. Chris Canizell came out to pick it up, but by the time he got to it, he had no play at all on Joe Morgan. So with 2 away, Morgan lays down a bunt. That's the 3rd hit for the Astros. It brings up Al Spangler, who is batting in the 2nd position. Morgan, a fast man at first base, was thrown out. On a double play strikeout. First pitch to Spangler hit the right field. Morgan goes to second base, holds there. And the Astros now have runners at first and second with 2 men away on the base hit by Al Spangler. That'll bring up Jim Wynn. Well, right here in this ballpark, the Astros have adopted the same sort of organized cheering that they do in Cincinnati. Cincinnati Bugler blowing the charges that they then come through in the yells with. The first pitch to Jim Wynn, a curveball, a hard swing at strike 1. Wynn has struck out his 2 times up. Kalen Cisco now throwing for the Mets in their bullpen. First action in the bullpen for the Mets in this ballgame as they lead 2-0, but the Astros threatening here with runners at first and second. Pitch back, hit on the ground. Dug out by Roy McMillan. He throws to second for the force play to retire the side. So the rally short-lived as McMillan comes up with the ground ball, goes to Bobby Klaus. In the inning, no runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left. And the score at the end of 6, the Mets 2, the Astros nothing.
Well, tonight's story could be called a batter's nightmare. When Frank Chance was playing for Chicago, he reached base 5 times in 1 game. But Frank wasn't doing the hitting. He was hit with 5 pitch balls. Ouch. Well, let's turn to a more pleasant subject and talk about Viceroy. Viceroy has got the taste that's right. You know why? Because Viceroy is specifically designed to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Not too strong like some brands, but taste as if they didn't have a filter. And not too light like some others. You know the kind. They just don't seem to satisfy your taste. But when you light up a Viceroy, you get the filter cigarette that's not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right.
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
Ed Creampool will lead off for the Mets here in the top of the 7th as they lead 2-0. It'll be Ed Creampool, Ron Swoboda, and Charlie Smith against Don Nottebart. And the first pitch by the right-hander is hit to center field, high in the air. Jim Wynn waiting there, now pounding his glove and making the catch. So on 1 pitch, 1 man away, and we'll pause now for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
810 on your dial, WGY and WGFM Schenectady, the voice of the Mets in the great Northeast.
Ralph Kiner along with Lindsey Nelson and Bob Murphy from the Astrodome in Houston. Mets leading by a score of 2-0. 1 away here in the top of the 7th, and the batter will be Ron Swoboda. Ron lined out the left field his last time up, struck out his first against Don Notabart. And the first pitch to Swoboda is hit back to the middle, taken on one hop by Notabart. He throws to first base for out number 2. So Don Notabart picks up 2 men on 2 pitches here in the top of the 7th. Don has struck out 8 batters, and the only inning the Mets have been able to get to him was in the 2nd inning when they had, with 2 men away, a single and 2 doubles to score 2 runs. Now the batter is Charlie Smith, and here comes the 3rd pitch of the inning, and Charlie takes for a called strike. Charlie not letting Notabart get through the inning with 3 pitches, taking all away. Mets leading by a 2-0 score. Charlie with a base hit, the first hit by any Met in this ballpark, and 2 times up. He swings hard. It's a foul tip for strike 2. Breaking pitch by Notabart. 0-2 to Charlie Smith. Right-hander taking a look at the signs. Now into the windup and back again. And a sweeping curveball is popped into shallow center field. Jim Wynn moving in. And he makes the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Notabart. And the score at the end of 6.5 innings, the Mets 2, the Astros nothing. Say, if you've been wondering what Spanish Americans sing after the smorgasbord, listen to this.
Is a song that Swedish Americans sing over and over at their parties and picnics until they raise a fearful thirst. Then they change their tune. Halon Gore is a traditional Swedish drinking song, and often the beer they drink is Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Swedes than in all of Husqvarna, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. And Rheingold is going great in New Jersey, New England, and Pennsylvania, too. Why do Swedish Americans like Rheingold? We don't know. But we must be doing something right.
From deep in the heart of Texas, it's the New York Mets playing the Houston Astros in the first game ever played between these 2 teams indoors. Mets leading in the ball game by a score of 2-0 as we go to the bottom half of the 7th. On the mound for the Mets is Jack Fisher. He has just finished the conference with Chris Canizero. And now Jack out to the pitcher's mound. First man up for the Astros will be Big Walt Vaughn. Jack has given up 4 hits. He gave up 3 in the 6th. Gave up his first hit in the 1st. And his first pitch to Vaughn, hit off the hands down to second base. A 2-hopper taken by Bobby Klaus as he moves to his left. He throws the first base for the out. So Jack Fisher picks up his first out in the 7th inning, just as Don Notabart did on 1 pitch. And that'll bring up the second hitter in this inning, Ken Aspermani. Ken has reached 1 time and 2 times up, walking in the 5th inning. He walked in a 3-2 pitch. His first time up, he flied out to center field. Right-hand batter. And the first pitch is in there, a fastball at strike 1. Aspermani decoying a bunt on the pitch. 1 strike count. Mets are playing Aspermani around toward the right field side in the outfield. Now at 1 strike, Jack Fisher comes back again. A slip pitch is fouled off at strike 2. Change of pace by Jack Fisher. Throwing once again in the bullpen for the Mets is Galen Cisco. Mets nursing a 2-0 lead. They have 2 runs on 3 hits. The Astros have no runs and 4. First game of a 2-game series. Tomorrow night, game time, New York time, will be at 9:30. We'll be on the air at 9:25. It'll be Frank Larry against Bob Bruce. Both pitches at one time with the Detroit organization. Pitch back is foul down in the dirt. So the count stays at 0-2. Chris Canizero, pardon me, was looking all over for the ball. He couldn't find it. It was right under his foot. 0-2 on Bob Aspermani. Bob batting at .255 this year. He has 1 home run and 4 runs batted in. Last year he had a fine year, hitting .280 with 12 home runs. set a National League record for fielding by making the fewest errors for a third baseman in one season. He made only a total of 11 errors all year long. 0-2 now as Fisher comes back again, and he misses just below the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Aspermonte was acquired by Houston in the expansion draft for $75,000. Went to the same high school that Sandy Koufax, Joe Pignatano did. Lafayette High School. He grounds the next pitch down slowly to third. It's going foul. Just went foul, and Charlie Smith played it to go foul. He felt he didn't have a play at first base if the ball had stayed fair, so he stayed back and waited for the ball to go foul, and it just did. So the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Aspermonte was originally signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers. First year was 1956. That was his first appearance in the major leagues. He was 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter. He also played for Macon in the South Atlantic League. 1 ball, 2 strikes. First complete year in the major leagues, 1961. Pitch back to the plate is way outside, off the glove of Canizero. Down now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. In 1962, Bob set an all-time record for third baseman, going 57 consecutive errorless games. That's a National League record. A high pop-up in foul territory. Eddie Cranepool calling for it, and he makes the catch. So Aspermonte's out, the second out in the bottom half of the 7th. The Mets leading by a 2-0 score, and Rusty Staub will now be the batter. Rusty is 0 for 2. He has grounded out and struck out. Struck out in the 5th on a change of pace. Jack Fisher getting him on a big swing. Rusty batting 114, left-hand batter. And the first pitch by Fisher is a curveball breaking in for a called strike. Mets leading 2-0 with 2 men out in the bottom half of the 7th. Johnny Lewis in right field playing a very shallow right field. 1 strike delivery, bounced down in the hole short. Roy McMillan digs it out. The long overhand throw is in time, and that retires the side. 1-2-3 for Jack Fisher in the 7th, and the score at the end of 7. The Mets 2 runs on 3 hits. The Astros no runs and 4. And speaking of scores, let's check the scores around the league. At the end of 5.5, it's Cincinnati 4, Chicago 1. Jim Maloney, who has already pitched a 1-hitter so far this year, working on the 4-1 lead. Now pitching for Chicago, Humphreys. The starting pitcher was Ellsworth. Harper and Johnson home runs in that ball game. Milwaukee defeated St. Louis 9-5 in a game already completed. Lamaster, the winning pitcher, with help from Odell. The losing pitcher was Bob Perky, the starter. Matthews put a Menke home run. Out on the coast, the Dodgers playing at home against Pittsburgh. The Pirates have scored 2 runs off Johnny Padres in their half of the first. The Dodgers just coming to bat against Joe Gibbons. Also scheduled on the coast, Philadelphia at San Francisco. In the American League, Kansas City and New York postponed because of rain. Minnesota defeated Cleveland 11-1. The winning pitcher was Pasquale. He had a grand slam home run in that ballgame for his own cause. Cleveland using 7 pitchers. The losing pitcher was Sam McDowell. Washington defeated Baltimore 5-2. The winning pitcher Riddick in relief of McCormick. The losing pitcher McNally, the starter for Baltimore. Howard a home run in the first with 2 men on. At the end of 7, it's Chicago 10, Boston 1. Lazard pitching for the White Sox. Hefner now pitching for Boston. Canigliaro a home run in the second with no one on. And at the end of 8, it is the Angels 4, Detroit 3. Bob Lee now pitching for the Angels. Fox pitching for Detroit. And now, once again, here's Lindsey Nelson.
All right, Ralph, it's Chris Canizero up to lead off for the Mets here in the top half of the 8th inning. Don Nottebart with the pitch, and it's low and away for a ball. Canizero had a double down the right field line in the 2nd inning and later scored. He was called out on strikes in the 5th inning. Nottebart started for the Astros. He's been in all the way. Double barrel action in the Astros bullpen at this moment. Here's the pitch, and it's swung on foul off to the right side and out of play. Left-hander Hal Wittishik and right-hander Claude Raymond are throwing in the bullpen for the Astros. And Galen Cisco is staying warm in the bullpen for the New York Mets. The Mets are leading by a score of 2-0, and we're in the top half of the 8th inning. Not a Bart's pitch. There's a breaking ball right in there for a called strike. It's 1-2. The official paid attendance here tonight, 16,837. This is the largest crowd ever to see the Mets play in Houston. 16,837. Here's a pitch, and it's outside for a ball. So for 6 home dates, the Astros now have drawn 149,793. That puts them ahead of last year's pace at this same time by 80,299. Here's Nottebock with the 2-2 pitch to Canizero. Swung on and pops up foul to the right side. Bateman gives it a run. He's at the dugout, and it's over in the seats out of play. Bateman almost impaled himself on the railing, which is in front of the photographer's tent to the home plate side of the dugout. The count holds at 2-2 to Canizero. Batting number 7 in the batting order. Roy McMillan is on deck. Roy had the single to center to drive in 2 runs in the top of the second. This is a 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. That is strikeout number 9 for Nottebock. And we'll bring up Roy McMillan, who's 1 for 2 in this game. The Mets and Houston in the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Nottebock with the pitch, and it's in there for a called strike. 0-1. Nottebock looks to John Bateman to get his sign. And the pitch is outside for a ball. 1-1. We'll be on the air tomorrow night from right here at the Astrodome once again, and we'll be on at 9:25 p.m. New York time. Houston's on Central Standard Time. 1-1 pitch, and it's outside for a ball. 2-1. So that at this time of year, there is 2 hours difference in time between Houston and New York. The game started here tonight at 7:30 p.m. Houston time. Jack Fisher is waiting on deck now for the Mets. 2-1 delivery to McMillan. It's a little high, so now Nottebock goes behind, 3-1. During the series just completed here between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Astros, Tom Butters of the Pirates did hit the roof of the Astrodome where the fungo. There's a swing and a drive down to the left field corner. Racing over. Spangler can't get to it. 1 hop to the wall. McMillan rounds first, on his way to second. The relay comes in, and McMillan goes in standing with a double at second base. So now the Mets have a runner at second with 1 man out, and Jack Fisher is coming up. Fisher has hit into a forced play and struck out swinging so far. So the Astros will be protecting against the possibility of a sacrifice here. The Mets have a runner at second, and 1 man out. They'll be wanting to move McMillan over to third. We have the warm-ups now at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Jim Bunning is going for the Phillies, and Gaylord Perry is going for the San Francisco Giants. Jack Fisher's coming back to get a helmet now. He was called back. He had forgotten that item, and he comes back up. It's mandatory in the National League that a helmet be worn by a batter. So he's back up there with the hard hat. Nottebock will work off the stretch as McMillan takes his lead at second base. Pitch to the right-hand batter. Swung on and foul off to the right side and out of play. The Mets are leading here by a score of 2-0. Yogi Berra on the coaching lines at first base for the Mets. Now on the active list and available for duty if and when needed. And Don Hefner on the coaching lines at third. Manager Casey Stengel is pacing up and down in the dugout, and believe me, there's pacing room in that dugout. Boyd looks for his sign. Has it. Here's the pitch. Swung on and hit on the ground up the middle. Taken behind the bag by Morgan. He throws the first in time. No advance by McMillan, holding at second. So Fisher has got it out second. The first two away. McMillan holds at second. And Bobby Klaus will be coming up. Edwin was flopped up the middle, and Morgan moved hurriedly to his right to come up with it, and McMillan was waiting wisely to see whether it would go through, and when it did not, he stayed close to the bag, and then Morgan cut it loose in a hurry in time to get Fisher at first. Now Klaus is being called back to the dugout. To get another bat. Puts one bat in the right, picks out another one, and hustles back out. So it's Klaus coming back up there now. J.C. Singer leaning on the railing in front of the dugout now. So is Wes Westrom, and so is Frank Larry. Notabart off the stretch with the pitch to Klaus. Swung on, hit in the air to center, and Jim Wynn ranges back. He has room, hands the glove, and puts it away. So the side is retired. On the top of the eighth, the Mets no runs, one hit. No errors, one left. The end of 7.5 innings. It is the Mets 2 and the Astros nothing. Can you imagine a Puerto Rican party without music? Don't try. Just listen to this.
Temporal is a song Puerto Ricans sing over and over at their parties and picnics until they raise a fearful thirst. Then they change their tune. Seis Choriao is the song a Puerto Rican drinks to. They'll sit down, call for a beer, probably Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Puerto Ricans than in all of San Juan, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. And Rheingold is going great in New Jersey, New England, and Pennsylvania, too. Why do Puerto Ricans like Rheingold? We don't know. But we must be doing something right.
In the Houston bullpen now, it's still Hal Whitaker, the left-hander to him, but Danny Coombs, another left-hander, has replaced right-hander Don Notabart. Leading off for Houston here in the bottom of the eighth is John Bateman. He has flied to center and flied to right. He is tied for the National League home run lead with 4, a big right-hand batter. Jack Fisher with his familiar no-wind-up delivery, and the pitch is in there for a called strike. Bateman bats number 7 in the batting order. Pitcher Don Notabart is the scheduled third batter in this inning. The Mets are leading by a score of 2-0. Pitch is swung on and lined into left field for a leadoff base hit for John Bateman. Christopher Douglas bobbers at the moment. Bateman's on his way to second. And he goes in sliding safely at second. It is scored as a single and an error on Joe Christopher in left field. Now we're going to get a runner, and it's Ron Brand, who is himself a catcher by trade, coming in to run for Bateman. As the Astros want speed on the bases. Action down in the bullpen now for the Mets, and it is Dennis Rybat and Al Jackson. Rybat and Jackson are throwing in the Met bullpen. And we're going to get a hitter here for Lilly. It's Jim Beecham who is coming in now. Jim Beecham is coming in to bat for Lilly. He's been up 20 times and had 4 hits. He's had 3 runs batted in. Fisher working off the stretch, and the pitch to the right-hand batter. And it's low for a ball. Jim Beecham wants the property of the St. Louis Cardinals. The Astros with a runner at second and nobody out in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Fisher looking in the counter's arrow to get a sign. Brand takes his lead at second. Here's the pitch outside for a ball. Fisher has gone behind to Beecham. They count it 2-0. He spells a B-E-A-U-C-H-A-M-T, and he pronounces it Beecham. This is Fisher with the 2-0 pitch. Gone and hit into left field for a base hit. Bond is down in third. He's coming home and holds up as Christopher cuts loose the throw. Canizaro out in the middle of the diamond comes up with it, and there are runners at first and third as Brand was held up. Jim Busby at third wanted to take no chances on getting his runner thrown out at the plate since they trailed by 2. A looping base hit to left for Beecham, and Nottebout is scheduled up. It's going to be Joe Gaines batting for Nottebout. Joe Gaines will bat for Nottebout. Still nobody out for Houston here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Gaines is a right-hand batter. Been up 14 times this year and had 1 hit. He has batted in 1 run. Action continuing in the Met bullpen with Dennis Ryback and lefty Al Jackson throwing. Gaines settles himself into the batter's box with a wide stance. Beecham's at first and Ron Brand is at third. Jack Fisher is up and set. Fisher's pitch to the right-hand batter, and it's low for a ball. Casey Stengel still out in front of the Met dugout, leaning on the railing there and peering intently out onto the field. The Houston fans trying to lend support to the aid of the Astros with the organized cry of charge. On his lead first third, the pitch swung on and foul back. It's into the seats and out of play. 1-1 to Joe Gaines. To this point, the Mets have 2 runs on 4 hits and 1 error. The Astros have no runs, 6 hits, and no errors. Joe Morgan is waiting on deck now with nobody out in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Fisher looking into Canizaro. Has his sign. He's up and set. This is a 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball and it's high. 2-1 the count to Joe Gaines. Again, Fisher looks in. He's up and set. And the pitch to Gaines. Swung on it on the ground to third. Taken by Charlie Smith. He goes to second. The ball is dropped. All hands are safe and the run scores. The run scores as Bobby Klaus came over to take the throw and dropped it at second base, and there are runners at first and second. Charlie Smith was going for a double play. The error is charged to Bobby Klaus at second base. The error is charged to Klaus at second base as he dropped the ball in his haste to try to make the double play. Houston scores. It's now 2-1. There's still nobody out, and the Astros have runners at first and second. Gaines hit that ball hard to Charlie Smith at third. He fielded it cleanly and decided to go for 2. Now it's going to be Morgan coming up. Joe Morgan, and Jim Busby is having a word with him before he comes up. Gaines on, of course, on the fielder's choice at first base. Morgan had a leadoff base hit in the first inning. He had a butt base hit in the 6th. He's 2 for 3. Batting left, runners lead at first and second. Now the pitch. He bumps the ball out in front of the plate. Canizaro fast at third. He's out to throw to first. He is safe at first base. A close play at first. As Klaus moved over to take the return throw from Charlie Smith at third, but Canizaro was out in front in a hurry to pounce on that butt and fired it on down to Charlie Smith at third for the 4th, and they just missed getting the double play. So still their runners at first and second, now with 1 man out. And Al Spangler is up. He's a left-hand batter. Gaines is the runner at second, and Morgan's the runner at first. Spangler is slide to left, slide to center, and had a ground single to right. It is the Mets 2 and Houston 1 in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Jackson and Rybat still throwing in the Met bullpen. Fisher up and set. He's pitched to Al Spangler, and it's low for a ball. Waiting on deck is Jim Wynn. Fisher getting a sign from Canizero. Runners leading at first and second. And now Fisher steps off the rubber to tighten up the base runners. He walks back now, takes a look around. Danny Combs still throwing in the bullpen for the Astros. Again, Fisher was set, however, Spangler back out of the batter's box. He's in and waiting now. Fisher set, runners lead first and second. Here's the pitch. And the quick pitch is in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. Twice in this inning, the Mets have gone for the double play. Now stumped the ball at second on one, and the relay was beaten by Morgan on the other. Here's a pitch to Spangler, mixing low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike now for the Astro left fielder. Fisher has the sign. This is a 2-1 pitch. It is bunted foul off to the left side and out of play. As Spangler was running for the base hit, and we now have runners first and second. 1 man out and a count of 2-2. Fisher looks in to get a side from Canizero as Spangler waggles that bat. And here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung out and missed. He struck him out. There are 2 men out, runners holding first and second, and we pass for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
810 on your dial, WGY and WGFM Schenectady, the voice of the Mets in the great Northeast.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Bob Murphy and Ralph Kiner at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, where the Astros have runners at first and second with 2 men out and Jim Wynn up. Struck out, and hit into a force play. He's a right-hand batter. Fisher's pitch. Check swing ground ball back to the mound. Taken by Fisher. Face the crane pull, and the side is out. In the bottom half of the 8th inning, the Houston Astros picked up a run on 2 hits. There was an error and 2 left. And the score at the end of 8 full innings is the Mets 2 and Houston 1.
Well, the excitement right here in Houston certainly up to a very, very high pitch due to the fact that this ball club has a brand new ballpark, and of course their attendance is up. Attendance today, very good crowd, the largest ever to see the Mets in Houston play here in Houston, of 16,837. Mets, of course, having the same situation in New York as they have had a fever pitch for, well, all 4 years of very short history. Mets tickets available at quite a few locations in New York. Shea Stadium open weekdays from 8 to 6 and weekends from 9 to 5. Pennsylvania Station and Long Island Railroad Waiting Room open weekdays from 8 to 6 and Saturdays from 8:30 to 4. Grand Central Terminal at the foot of the 42nd Street and Vanderbilt Avenue ramp open weekdays from 8 to 6 and Saturdays from 8:30 to 4. And you can pick up tickets out of Long Island at Macy's and Huntington during the store hours. Reservations can be made for box and reserve seats at any of the Howard Cole stores. Well, a new pitcher in the ball game for the Astros as we move to the top of the 9th, and once again, here's Lindsey Nelson.
All right, Ralph, and it is Hal Woodyschick, the veteran left-hander on the mound. Ron Brand, who came in to run for Bateman, stays in the game as the catcher, and Eddie Casco, the veteran infielder from Linden, New Jersey, takes over at shortstop. Those 3 changes for the Astros as we go to the top half of the 9th inning. Don Notabart worked 8 innings in which he allowed 2 runs. On 4 hits, he struck out 9, and he walked 1. Johnny Lewis is up and tries to bunt his way on and misses for strike 1. The Mets 2 and the Astros 1. 8 inning totals for the Mets, 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 errors. For the Astros, 1 run, 6 hits, no errors. Here's a breaking ball low. 1-1. In the last inning, there were 2 errors committed by the Mets, one by Clark at second and one by Christopher in left field. Here's a 1-1 delivery by Woodyschick, and it swung on and hit into left field for a Johnny Lewis base hit. Just lofted it out there.
He's on his way to second. Casco fires, and he is out by a mile at second base. That ball was just lofted into left. Casco Hutzelotzer came up with it and fired it into Morgan at second, and he had the ball waiting for Johnny Lewis when he got there. One away, nobody on base, and Joe Christopher's up. He's got nothing for 3 tonight. Woody Schick with the pitch. And it's inside low for a ball. In the mid bullpen area, Billy Cowan is throwing now. Billy Cowan is loosening up. And the presumption is he will go in as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the ninth. Here's a pitch outside for a ball. 2-0, the count to Christopher at the plate with one man out and nobody on base. In the American League, the Chicago White Sox have defeated the Boston Red Sox 10-1. Johnny Bazard's the winner, and Billy Monbouquet's the loser. There's a swing and a drop back to the mound, knocked down, and fired on over the first in time, and Christopher's out. Harold Woodyshick knocks it down, picked it up, and fired on. 2 away, nobody on base, and Ed Kranepool is coming up now. Kranepool's hitting streak is on the line here. He came into this game having hit safely in every Met game in which he played, 12 consecutive games. In this game, he has got nothing for 3. He is a left-hand batter facing a left-hand pitcher with his hitting streak on the line. Woodyshick's pitch. Swung on and hit right back off the glove of Woodyshick. Scrambles over, picks it up, throws to first, and he throws wildly. And he's out at first and on the way to second now. There's Kranepool, no play made on him as Morgan comes up with the ball, and Kranepool's at second base. An error charged against Woodyshick on the play. So no base hit for Kranepool. He's gone 0 for 4 so far in this game. He is out at second base, however, on the throwing error committed by Hal Woodyshick. And Ron Swoboda is coming up. Swoboda, who has 4 home runs to his credit in the young season, has struck out swinging, lined to left, and grounded out pitcher to first. The Mets lead by a score of 2-1 in the top half of the 9th inning. And they're going to intentionally walk Swoboda. Here's the pitch outside for a ball. With first base open, they're going to put him on. Charlie Smith is scheduled next batter. Outside, ball 2 now to Ron Swoboda. Brand moves out to take ball 3. And here is ball 4. So Swoboda has been intentionally walked. Goes to first, Kranepool holds at second, and we're going to get a runner now. It's going to be Billy Cowan coming in to run for Swoboda, and then Cowan will doubtless stay in the game in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Charlie Smith has singled, struck out, and flied to center so far in this game. He led the Mets in home runs last year with 20. Doug McGraw is throwing in the Met bullpen now. Here's a pitch, and it is low for a ball. Umpire Billy Williams changes position now, moving over on the shortstop side of second base. We're working with an umpiring crew of 3. Woodyshick's pitch is swung on, and it's missed, and it gets away from Ron Brand, and both runners move up. Pitch hit down in the dirt as Smith took a chopping stroke. He didn't hit it. It hit down in the dirt and got on by Brandt. So both runners moved up. Scored as a pass ball. A pass ball charged against Ron Brandt. So now the Mets have 2 runners in scoring position in the top half of the 9th inning. Count of 1-1 to Charlie Smith. The Mets 2 and Houston 1. Woodyshick's pitch. Swung on and fouled out. Topped off to the left side out of play. Runs the count to 1-2. Kranepool is at third base and Cowan is at second base. In the bottom of the 9th, the Astros are scheduled to send up Walter Bond, Bob Aspromonte, and Rusty Staub. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Swung on and fouled out, so Smith stays alive with a count of 1-2. The Mets got 2 runs in the second inning. The Astros got 1 in the bottom of the 8th. This is a 2-game series. Now Charlie Smith settles himself back into the batter's box. Woody gets the sign from Ron Brand, working straight away. The 1-2 delivery. Swung on it, on the ground, foul. Back at third and bounds over the head of Don Hefner and down past Doug Mazzell, warming up in the Met bullpen. It's retrieved by Danny Napoleon, who is the bullpen catcher at this moment. Danny's been doing a lot of work down the bullpen. He hustles down there without being asked and fills in any way that he can. Canizero is waiting on deck. Woody Chick with the 1-2 pitch to Charlie Smith. Swung on and fouled on the third base line, out of play. Little number, it fell off foul. Smith was on his way to first, got about halfway there, so he comes back. The Houston bench is trying to get the attention of Jim Wynn in center and move him over toward left, and now he sees the sign. And he's moving over. He was playing Charlie Smith straight away, and now they're moving him way over. Two men on, 2 men out. 2-1. The Mets leading in the top half of the 9th inning. The 1-2 pitch. In there for a called strike 3. Struck him out. Charlie Smith was caught looking, and the Mets in the top of the 9th got no runs. They had 1 hit, there was 1 error, and 2 men left. And the score at the end of 8.5 innings is the Mets 2 and Houston 1. In 1922, the Cubs and the Phils played one of the wildest games you'll ever hear about. They just about needed a policeman to direct traffic at home plate. By the end of the game, Chicago had knocked in 23 runs. But get this, they lost. That's right, because Philadelphia brought home 26 runs. And if you want to bring home the taste that's right and filter smoking, it's Viceroy. You see, Viceroy is specifically designed to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Viceroy is not too strong, like some brands that taste as if they didn't have a filter, and not too light, like some others. You know the kind. They just don't seem to satisfy your taste. But Viceroy is not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right.
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
We're going to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Jack Fisher on the mound for the New York Mets, and Walter Bond is coming up for the Houston Astros. So far tonight, Walter Bond has flied to right. He's been called out on strikes, and he's grounded out second to first. The Mets are leading by a score of 2-1. So it's another thriller, this time at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Mets shift the defense around now, playing the big fella to pull. Time is called by Tom Gorman, the umpire at third, as the ball gets away in the bullpen area and goes out in the short left field. It's being chased out there. Dennis Rybat and Al Jackson are throwing in the Met bullpen. Pitching coach Warren Spahn down at the far end of the dugout, which is practically in the bullpen. Now the pitch to Bond, and it's low for a ball. Roy McMillan moved over almost behind the bag at shortstop. The 1-0 pitch to Bond. Swung on and fouled down the right field line. Going out of play. Got around and ripped that one. But pulled it foul. 1-1 to Bond. With Bob Astromonte on deck. Rusty Staub is the scheduled third hitter in the inning for the Astros. Canizero calls time and runs out to the mound now. They have a word with Jack Fisher. Canizero and Fisher talking at the mound. Manager Casey Stengel, 1 foot up on the top step of the dugout, looking at the scene out on the mound now. Don settles himself into the batter's box as Canizero reassumes his position behind the plate.
Fisher with the 1-1 pitch. Moved him back and low with 2-1. The Mets 2 and Houston 1. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Swung on, foul off into the dugout of the Houston Astros. Levels the count at 2-2. The umpire behind the plate, signaling the count, 2-2. Fisher starts the motion, and here's the 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball at his back, up the middle, hits the bag, taken by McMillan. He saves the first, he's out. Just got him at first base. Fisher stabbed at that ball with his bare hand up the mound. He just hit the corner of the bag at second, and McMillan had to play the carom off of there. Came up and threw it on just in time to get the big fella. So there's one away, nobody on base, and coming up is Aspromani. Aspromani has slid to center, walked, and fouled out the first so far. So the shift that the Mets had on, playing Walter Bond the pull, and with McMillan stationed almost behind the bag, was of immeasurable help in erasing the first man up in the inning. Canizero again gone to the mound. Canizero walking slowly back now. As Aspromani steps in. Fisher with a pitch to the right-hand batter, and it's in there for a called strike. The Mets now shift Billy Cowan, who is in center field, to the right field side, as they are playing Aspromani to hit to the opposite field as far as the outfield position is concerned. Here's a pitch in there for a call, strike 2. Good pitch by Jack Fisher. One man out, nobody on base, bottom half of the ninth inning. Fisher looks to Canizero. Here is the 2-strike delivery. And it is low as Aspromani started to go and held up. He took the stride and laid off at the last moment. It's 1-2. Dusty Staub is waiting on deck now for the Astros. Fisher staring down at the ground there at the mound. Now starts the motion. Here's the 1-2 delivery. Swung out, hit in the air, and it is to left center. Cowan races over and can't get it. Off his glove, it is picked up by Christopher. Fired in, and standing at second base is Bob Aspromani. Cowan raced to his right, got a glove on the ball. And the scoreboard indicates a double. The scoreboard indicates double, and Casey Stengel is walking down toward the bullpen now with Rusty Staub coming up. He's a left-hand batter. And now Casey turns and is walking out toward the mound, passing third base at this moment. Potential tying run at second base. Cowan has been swung over to the right field side. And the ball was hit to his right. He went racing across, got a glove on it, but could not hang on. And it's out at his feet. He overran it, and Christopher picked it up and fired it in. But Aspromani pulled up with a double at second base. Rusty Staub is the batter, and now we're going to get Al Jackson coming in here. That'll be all for Fisher, and Al Jackson is coming in now. And as Jackson walks in to check on scores of other games, here's Bob Murphy. In the National League, at the end of 6.5 innings, Cincinnati leading the Chicago Cubs 4-3. Billy McCool is in relief with Jim Maloney trying to protect the lead. Home runs by Tommy Harper and Darren Johnson. The Milwaukee Braves got 9 runs on 13 hits in beating St. Louis 9-5. Now the hand is for Jack Fisher as Jack leaves the game, and again, he has pitched extremely well. He deserved a better break. That line drive was hit hard, but Billy, after seemingly getting in position to catch the ball, it looked from here as though he just lost it in the light. The Braves beat the Cardinals 9-5. LeMaster the winner and Perky the loser. Home runs by Eddie Matthews and Dennis Menke for Milwaukee and Kurt Flood for the Cardinals. The Pirates and Dodgers tied 2-2 after 2.5 innings. Joe Gibbon against Johnny Padre.
The Giants lead the Phillies 3-2 at the end of the first inning. Jim Bunning against Gaylord Perry. In the American League, the A's and Yankees were rained out in an afternoon ball game at the stadium, with Camilo Pascual hitting a grand slam in the first inning and pitching a two-hitter. Minnesota beat Cleveland 11-1. McDowell was the loser. Frank Howard hit a 3-run homer to face Washington to a 5-2 win over Baltimore. Gibson the winner in relief. McNally was the loser. Johnny Buzard pitched a strong six-hitter, and the White Sox downed the Red Sox 10-1 in Chicago, with Bill Monduquette the loser. Buzard lost his shutout when Tony Canigliaro homered in the second, nobody on. And the Angels, on the combined pitching of Fred Newman and Bob Lee, beat Detroit in Detroit 4-3. Denny McLean was the loser. There were home runs by the Angels, Paul Schall, and by the Tigers, Norm Cash. That's the complete rundown on the scores of other games. The Mets have made their pitching change, and once again, here's Lindsey.
All right, Bob, and the Astros have made a batting change. It is Mike White who's going to bat now for Rusty Staub, as manager Luman Harris of the Houston Astros goes for a right-hand batter. Mike White has been up 6 times this year, so far without a hit. Al Jackson on the mound. He worked Sunday in San Francisco. He started the first game against the Giants, but worked only 3 innings, in which he reached the 5 runs on 6 hits. So he's in here now, and Astromonte is the runner at second as the Mets lead 2-1, 1 man out in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Jackson off the stretch, and the pitch to Mike White. Swung out and hit in the air to right. Johnny Lewis moves back a few steps, and he makes the catch halfway on the fly ball to right. Astromonte goes back to second. So comes across the diamond and is taken on one hop at third base by Charlie Smith. 2 away, and Ron Brand is the batter coming up now. Casey's on the way to the mound again. Perhaps he's going to go for his right-hander, and that would be Dennis Ryback. Jackson with 1 pitch. Got Mike White on a fly ball to right. 2 away. Casey Stengel goes to the mound. Dennis Ryback now is coming in. Ryback, you'll recall, on this road trip, has finished 2 winning ball games. He was credited with 1 win and with 1 save. So he's coming on now. Ron Brand, the scheduled batter up for the Astros. Before this change, Coach Wes Weston and manager Casey Stengel were perusing the list of extra men that the Astros have available. And now at the mound, Dennis Ryban is there with Casey Stengel and catcher Chris Canizero and first baseman Eddie Kranepool. The Mets lead 2-1. The Astros have a runner at second with 2 men out in the bottom half of the 9th inning. This is the 5th appearance of the season for Dennis Ryback. On the 14th of April at Shea Stadium, he worked against the Houston team for 2 innings in which he allowed no runs and 1 hit. And at Shea Stadium on the 17th, he appeared for 2 innings against the Giants in which he allowed no runs and 1 hit. On this trip, on the 23rd at San Francisco, he appeared 2 innings in which he allowed no runs and 2 hits and was the winning pitcher when the Mets won it in the 11th. And at San Francisco on the 24th, he appeared for 1 inning in which he allowed no runs and 1 hit and was credited with a save as Jerry Crow got the win.
I might point out, I know that most of you baseball fans understand the rule, but when a pitcher comes into a ball game, he has to pitch to 1 batter. And if you're wondering, some of you newcomers, about the fact that Al Jackson went ahead and pitched to the right-hand batter, was taken out now with another right-hander coming up. That is the rule. He had to go through 1 batter before he could be taken out of the ball game.
And with Dennis Ryback having completed his warm-ups, it is now Galen Cisco who is throwing in the Met bullpen. Ron Brand did as a pinch runner for Johnny Bateman in the bottom half of the 8th inning and stayed in the game. Brand this year has been up 19 times and had 4 hits. He's had 3 runs batted in. He's hitting .211. So he's in here now. As Ryback takes a look around his outfield. Bob Astromonte, the base runner at second, leads off the bag. Ryback now up on the rubber, looks in to get a sign. He has it off the stretch position. The pitch to Brand, and it's high and tight for a ball. Mets 2 and the Houston Astros 1 in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Eddie Casco is waiting on deck now for the Astros. Dennis Ryback gets his sign from Canizero. Off
the stretch. The pitch is in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. Rybat is a fellow with a lot of nervous energy. He moves around here and there, and right now he tugs his both sleeves, staring on the backside of the mound. He's looking out at the outfield around, rubs his hand now on his trousers, goes to the bill of his cap, goes up to his face, back to the glove now. Off the stretch. He is set. And the 1-1 pitch. Swung on and fouled off to the right side, now to play. Ryback mounts his foul, goes to the bill of his cap, straightens out his uniform, pounds the glove, takes a return throw. Takes off the glove, rubbing up the ball, walking to the backside of the mound. Astromonti is standing on the bag at second base. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Rybat rubbing the ball, wipes the palm of his hand on his left trouser leg. Now extends his right sleeve to get that straightened out. Takes a hitch at the belt, extends the right sleeve again. Again, rubs the palm of his hand, has it on the side of his leg now. Wipes off his shirt, looking in, has the sign. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's swung on and line foul on the right field line into the seats and out of play. So the count holds at 1-2 to Ron Brand at the plate. Astromonti, who is off and running, with a crack to the bat, goes back to the bag at second. There are 2 men out in the bottom half of the 9th inning. The Mets 2 and the Houston Astros 1. And a good many of the Mets now are up at the railing in the dugout, staring out onto the field. There's a little pacing taking place there in the dugout as well. The old professor, Casey Stengel, walking up and down, and now he comes back to the corner. Standing there now for a moment is Rybat, rubbing up the ball, looking at the outfield. Shrugs his shoulder, extends that right sleeve, rubs the palm of his hand, turns around now, extends the sleeve again, bends from the waist to look in to get a side from Chris Canizero. Again, Rybat hitches at the trousers, extends the sleeve, has the palm of his hand on his right leg, again extends the sleeve. Pounds it to now, he's up and set. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's high for a ball. The count goes to 2-2 to Ron Brand, with Eddie Casco kneeling in the on-deck circle, and Larry Bernard is now joined Galen Cisco, throwing in the bullpen for the Mets. Canizero takes the ball, walks it halfway, and now he's going to walk it all the way out to Rybat. He's going to meet him halfway. Canizero puts the ball in his glove, and Rybat takes the glove off, starts back, turns around to come back to face up to the Canizero. Chris rejoins him. Now Rybat walks again toward the mound, rubbing the ball as he goes. Past the rubber, bill of the cap, extends the right sleeve, pounds the ball, knocks his bow, now up to look for a sign. Astromonti leads off the bag at second base. The count is 2-2 to Brand. Rybat is set. The 2-2 pitch. Low, and it's a full count. Falls off the glove of Canizero. Keeps it in front of him, not in front of the plate. So it is a 3-2 count now to Brand at the plate. Astromonti standing on the bag at second. 2 men out. Again, Rybat clearing in to get the sign. He's up and set. The payoff pitch swung out here on the ground foul. Back to third, taken by Jim Busby on the coaching lines. He throws the ball out of play. And another one's put in play by Ed Sudol, the umpire behind the plate. Rybat again works on this one. He's done a lot of work on the baseball in this half inning. Looks around and now turns to look for his sign as Brand steps back in with a full count. Rybat has his sign. He's set, and here's the payoff pitch. Check swing, foul ball, back off the screen and out of play, and the count holds full at 3-2. New supply of baseballs for umpire Ed Sudol behind the plate. Jim Canizero walks out to have a word with Dennis Rybat. Dennis walks briskly now back to the mound. On past the rubber to the backside, where again he goes to work on that baseball. Takes off his cap now, mops his brow with his sleeve. Carefully adjusting the cap back on his head. Turns now to look in for a sign from Canizero. Astromonti leads off the bag at second. Rybat has his sign. Here's the payoff pitch. It's low and he walks him. So Brand goes to first. That will bring up Eddie Casco, the veteran National League infielder from Linden, New Jersey. Casco has been up only one time previously this season. Did not get a base hit. Rybat, meanwhile, continues to work on the baseball. Potential tying run out at second base, potential winning run out at first here in the bottom half of the ninth inning for the Houston Astros, with the Mets leading 2-1 and 2 men out. Ryban looks to count his error to get his time. Wants him to start the series of signs over again, and he does. Ryban gets the time now. Runners lead at first and second. The pitch swung out and hit deep to left. Christopher goes way back, still going, and he can't get it. It's over his head. 1 run scores, 2 runs scores, and the Astros win on the double. A double over the head of Joe Christopher in left field, and the Houston Astros have won the ball game in the bottom half of the ninth inning. They win it by a score of 3-2 as Casco hit the first ball pitch and rode it over the head of Christopher in left field. And all over the park now on that scoreboard, it goes off with all sorts of things happening. As Christopher started back on the ball, it looked as though he might have a beat on it. As he started back, looked as though he might get good. It hit in the warning track in left field and bounded on. And, of course, everybody was running with 2 men out. And both runners scored easily to win the ball game from the Astros by a score of 3-2. So that the Astros now have won 6 straight games. And it ties their longest win streak ever, winning it on a double by Eddie Casco, coming in the bottom half of the ninth inning here in Houston, Texas. So the final score again is Houston 3 and the Mets 2, and here's Ralph Kiner.
Well, a double at the stroke of midnight in New York put the finishing touches on the Mets as they were about to become the winningest Mets team to ever get into the 500 circle. The Astros, as Lindsey said, extended their winning streak to 6, and they came from behind in the ninth inning to do it. It was a tough piece of luck for Jack Fisher, who had pitched a brilliant ball game. He got the first man out of the ninth inning, leading in the ball game 2-1. Then Ken Aspermonte hit a line drive into center field. The ball was in the glove of Cowan, who was put into center field for defensive purposes. He dropped the ball. It was scored in error. Could have gone just about either way. Man on second base, and then Al Jackson was brought into the ball game. Al pitched to Mike White, who was sent up as a pinch hitter for Rusty Staub, and he got Mike on one pitch and a fly ball to right field. That put the Mets within 1 out of gaining 500, something they have never done in their history. But then Rybant was brought in the ball game to pitch to Ron Brand. He worked the count down to 3-2. There were 3 foul balls, and then he walked Rybant, which proved to be the winning run in the game. Eddie Casco, who had not had a hit this year, was only his second time up, then doubled over the head of Joe Christopher in left field. 2 runs scored, and the Houston Ball Club won the ball game. The losing pitcher in the game was Dennis Rybant. The winning pitcher was Hal Witashek, who came in the game in the ninth inning. He gave up no runs, allowed 1 hit. Starting pitcher for the Houston Astros was Don Nottebart. He won 8 innings, pitched brilliant ball, gave the Mets 2 runs on only 4 hits. He struck out 9 batters and walked 1. Mets scored the 2 runs in the second inning. When after 2 men were out, Charlie Smith singled to right field. Chris Canizero doubled to right field, putting Charlie Smith on third. And then Roy McMillan came through with a double to center field. The first of his 2 hits, he had 2 doubles and 3 times up to drive in 2 runs. The Mets were held scoreless the rest of the way by Don Nottebart and Hal Witashek. In the ball game, Ed Crane's pool was stopped at his hitting streak of 12. He did not get any hits in this ball game, 0 for 4. And the Mets, in losing, now have a record of 6 wins and 8 losses. The Astros have won 8 and lost 6. They have now won 6 ball games in a row. So that's the final score of the ball game. The Astros 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. They left 6 on. The Mets 2 runs, 5 hits. They made 2 errors and left 4 men on base. This game was brought to you by Rheingold, New York City's largest selling beer. And what a remarkable thing that is. In New York, a city of so many different people with different tastes, one beer has become the favorite, Rheingold Extra Dry. We don't know why so many people like our beer, but we must be doing something right, and we'll keep right on doing it. Tonight's game was also brought to you by Viceroy. Not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right.
In all baseball land, there are no fans so grand as our Mets fans. When we play other teams, no one's blood curdling screams. That's our Mets fans.
But when Mets fans shout,
Go! What they mean, we all know. We've got no place to go. But up.
Now the this is Ralph Kiner saying so long for Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.